Swag. I really like swag, right? Scientists do fast guess, okay? I just think that's so cool. Swag. They can't even get the inflation measurements right. That's what everyone was saying. And they had some creative
Hang on, you guys. Trying to get the TV controller.
CPI or PCE. They can't even get that right.
Yeah.
They have to reform the balance sheet. And by the way, what were they doing with DEI? What was the Minneapolis Fed doing, robbing the Minnesota legislature on climate change? It's all been fun. Minnesota's fine. What Kevin was saying was, you're right. The Federal Reserve has been out of control for years. That's how to stop.
I felt like the question, I think it was Senator Smith from
I can't find it.
Where she brought up insurance prices. The price of homeowners insurance is going through the roof because of climate change causing weather events. As if that is the problem of the Federal Reserve. And I thought, well, that's one of the reasons why.
Hey, all right.
Money is being spent by the Biden administration and the debt, sopping up the debt. Again, it gets back to the fiscal policy is the Fed's job. It's and all of these problems are actually not related to inflation or climate change.
Well, it's he made it very clear that when you run a $10 trillion balance sheet, assets and liabilities, which is now down to slightly
I
less
can't believe I lost it again.
which was
Damn it.
$600 million 15 years ago. You're engaging in fiscal policy. Okay, and you're breaking the 1951 Fed Treasury report, which is essentially what Ben Bernanke and then Jay continued this. So they're trying to control interest rates. Their job. Can't remain low in our various interviews. You have to have monetary policy without mentioning money.
Can't find a controller.
Or the money supply, or the balance sheet, or what our laughter refers to in older language, the monetary base. These things are absolutely crucial to any economist who's ever studied any monetary economics. That's why
I hope the TV is not too loud. So we got. I was gonna wait till 3 o'clock, but I got Derek Johnson from yesterday with that one guy that talks with Julie Green. I thought that would be a good video to play, an hour. Oh, where did I put that? Dang it. I'll wait a few minutes before we start.
And then we're going to talk about Spirit Airlines. See how I'm just kidding. The Trump administration taking their moves to tackle the housing crisis. What they're proposing.
I really lost it this time. Oh. All right. I found it. There we go. All right. So I took Chico to the park and then went out things and just had lunch. Well, today he finally met somebody at the park. He thinks she was a female. Play, Chico. Play with them. Wants to play. Hey, stop eating the grass. No. No. Yeah. What, you want to go home? You got a new friend there, buddy. Huh?
See, she's not like she doesn't like hate other dogs. She's just not real super interested.
Yeah.
She's just she's like take it or leave it. She's like, I can do it with my dog.
So that was him with the new dog there. Oh no, that was Chico at the park meeting her dog. Did you get my text, Kay? I did it again. Changed my mind again. I'm hooked. I'm hooked. I can't stay off of here. Oh, Nick finally came out with one.
What about those All-Star games? They're pretty crazy, man. Like,
So we got an hour with the guy that talks with Julie Green. I don't know if you heard me or not, you guys. With Derek Johnson. We'll play that later. I'm going to play a lot of shorts. Get to a lot of short ones. I got some new channels too, you guys. So let me know what you guys think of the new channels I found. Ryan Eagle sent me a video about that video of Trump yesterday, Kay. But I found a different one, so I don't know if it's the same one or not, but I'll play that short one. It's a 3-minute one. So I know everybody's at work. I hope they're listening. Another big day of Intel. My teams play tonight. Oh, you did? Yeah. I got a 3-minute one I'll share. God dang it.
Lord in the king's house, and all that came into Solomon's heart to make in the house of the Lord, and in his own house he prosperously effected. And the Lord appeared to Solomon by night and said to him, I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place for myself for a house of sacrifice. If I shut up heaven, that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Now my eyes shall be open and my ears attent to the prayer that is made in this place. For now I have chosen and sanctified this house, that my name may be there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. And as for you, if you will walk before me, as David your father walked, and do according to all that I have commanded you, and shall observe my statutes and my judgments, then will I establish the throne of my kingdom according to as I have covenanted with David your father, saying, there shall not fail you as a man to be ruler in Israel. But if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I pluck them up from the roots out of my land which I have given them, and this house which I have sanctified for my name will I cast out of my sight, and will make it to be a proverb and a byword among nations. And this house which is high shall be an astonishment to every one that passes by it, so that he shall say, why has the Lord done thus to this land and to this house? And it shall be answered, because they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, and laid hold on other gods, and worshiped them and served them. Therefore has he brought all this evil upon them.
Okay, that was only a 3-minute one. Hope you guys, people that didn't see it.
$5 billion.
This is The Wire for 2300 Zulu, April 21st, 2026. Precedence is routine. Information cutoff is 2200. Bottom line up front. Petroleum refineries around the world continue to experience catastrophic fires. U.S. forces board tanker vessel tied to Iran in eastern Indian Ocean. IEDs discovered by homeowner in Colorado. Beginning with international events, in the Middle East this morning, CENTCOM announced the boarding of the merchant tanker Tiffany in the eastern Bay of Bengal. U.S. forces on board the USS John L. Canley Expeditionary Sea Base conducted the boarding operation, with the status of the vessel remaining unknown. Analysts comment. CENTCOM did not explicitly state whether or not the vessel was actually seized. However, the vessel was observed changing course to the south after the Visit Board Search and Seizure, or VBSS, interdiction operation was conducted. On the home front, in Colorado, yesterday the Boulder County Sheriff's Office released details of an explosive device that was discovered in a wooded area near Ponderosa Way in a residential area of Boulder County. A local resident found a cache of 5 pipe bombs stored in a case in a wooded area of this residential dirt road. The Boulder County Regional Bomb Squad deployed to the scene, and a shelter-in-place order was issued while the explosive devices were removed. Analysts comment. It's not clear how long the cache of IEDs had been in place, as the homeowner who found the waterproof case had just closed on their home in the area and only moved in on Sunday. The case was found after the individual had begun walking their dog through their new community, so the cache could have been in place for some time. Analyst comments for this wire. Around the world, a series of fires has broken out at various petroleum refineries and natural gas processing facilities. Yesterday, a major fire broke out at the HPCL Rajasthan refinery in India, one day before Prime Minister Modi himself was scheduled to attend the ribbon cutting to formally open the $9 billion refinery complex. On the same day, oil transportation vessels were set on fire in Myanmar or Burma after an explosion caused a fire to spread rapidly to many small oil transportation barges that were anchored in the Chindwin River near the remote town of Homelin. Local reports state that 10 vessels were impacted or destroyed by the fire. In Russia, Ukrainian forces have sharply increased attacks on Russian oil and gas infrastructure, with roughly 12 separate refineries being hit by approximately 17 long-range Ukrainian drone attacks over the past few weeks. Some sources claim that roughly 40% of Russia's petroleum refinement capacity has been taken offline or impacted negatively since March due to these attacks. All of these incidents follow the previous refinery fires in Australia and in the United States, with the Viva Energy refinery and the Port Arthur Valero refinery respectively experiencing major fires that shut down operations for some time. Even China has not escaped unscathed, with a major fire being reported at a major chemical factory in the Jinan industrial zone 2 weeks ago. Though it is hard to attribute all of these mysterious infrastructure incidents to one clear origin, major fires affecting extremely large oil and petrochemical refineries at a time when a huge percentage of the global oil supply is offline is extremely poor timing at best, or extremely suspicious at worst. Fires at refineries are decently common and happen in the third world even more often. However, with increased focus on the international fuel crisis, these impacts to operations could not come at a worse time. Regardless of malign action or pure accident, the result is the same. Petroleum products becoming even more scarce and prices climbing higher as the end of the ceasefire looms and another potential week of market volatility remains on the horizon. This concludes the wire for 2300 Zulu, April 21st.
Okay, that was a Wire channel there. I got a 6-minute Canada news update. Ah. Where is it?
This is really important to talk about, especially right now, because there's legislation that is being voted on next week on April 13th, and we need to make sure that it doesn't pass without there being some protections in there for all of us. So what a lot of people I don't think realize is that Palantir's Foundry platform, which is their civilian platform, has been inside the IRS since 2017. And what it's done is connected all of these databases that contain your bank statements, your IRS filings, your financial transactions, all of that stuff, and it would find patterns across it for investigators. So if someone was suspected of, let's say, fraud, then Foundry could pull that someone's financial information and run an analysis over it and find patterns that maybe a human analyst might miss. And over the years, the IRS has paid Palantir more than $200 million for that level of work. But there was always a caveat in that system, and that was the scope, because that system was only to be used on cases that were already open, meaning that an investigator already had to suspect something was up, there had to be a formal filed investigation, and they had to have this reason to look, and then Foundry would then help them look faster. But something has changed recently that we need to talk about, because in December of 2024, the IRS had paid Palantir $1.8 million to build a tool called SNAP, which stands for the Selection and Analytic Platform. And yes, that is SNAP, the same acronym as the Food Benefit Program. So make of that what you will. What's dangerous about SNAP is that it takes the human out of the equation. So SNAP doesn't wait for an investigator to open a case on you or have a reason to look at you. The algorithm scores every American taxpayer and generates this ranked list of who the government should target next. And this is for audits, collections, for criminal investigations. I mean, truly, it is endless what they could flag you. And the reason I say recently is because even though this has been in development since December of 2024, the IRS just last month paid Palantir another $2.25 million to expand SNAP further. And SNAP doesn't just read your tax return either. According to this expansion, it's going to be able to pull transaction data from places like Venmo, Etsy, Depop, and Cash App. And this year, according to reports, the threshold for reporting on those platforms has dropped to $600. $600. So that's anyone who's selling a used couch on Facebook Marketplace to a freelancer who walks dogs on the weekend. By the way, I got rid of Venmo like 2 years ago because I don't trust the PayPal mafia of it all. Like knowing that Peter Thiel co-founded PayPal and Palantir is a big enough red flag for them not to handle any of my transaction history. And that's going to be a big one. So I recommend getting rid of that if I were you. Personally, I use Apple Pay because it's a little bit safer in that Apple doesn't keep a social feed of your transactions and has never given the government direct server access to those transactions. I mean, it's still subject to IRS reporting rules for businesses, but it's a lot cleaner than those other options. Is this even legal? Well, it's complicated, really, because in June of 2025, 10 members of Congress did write to Palantir's CEO and say that this likely violates the Privacy Act of 1974 and federal tax privacy laws, which says that your tax information cannot be used for anything unrelated to taxes, that it is a federal crime. And the IRS's top lawyer did agree with that, but he was swiftly removed from his position 2 days after saying that on the record in 2025. Now, there are two things you can do about this right now, both of which are short-term fixes, but it'll at least give you something to do so you're not just a puddle of anxiety. The first thing is going to be to remove yourself from all data broker databases. Because like I said, the government is not just using IRS data. They are going to be using your real-time location data, your phone number, and any spending habits that they find through social media or any third-party data broker that they can buy it from. Because buying that information does not require a warrant, and that is how they get around the court system. So you can shrink that footprint. I can only speak to California because that's where I live, so each state is going to have its own rules and how to do this. But if you live in California, then you can go to privacy.california.gov/drop. And I'll insert a video here of what you're supposed to do while you're there. Basically, it's a free website that's run by the state. It's one form. It sends deletion requests to over 500 data brokers and databases across the US at once, and it takes all of 5 minutes. It's definitely worth it. I just did it this morning. If you're not in California, you could look at services like Incogni or Delete Me. Full disclosure, I'm not sponsored by them. I've never worked with them. I've never used their platform, so do your due diligence. But from what I understand, it's the same thing with a small fee attached. Now, the next thing you can do is call Rick Crawford this week. Now, I'm not kidding around. This is the most important thing every single one of you should be doing, okay? Crawford is the House Intelligence Committee chair, and he controls whether FISA reauthorization goes to vote with or without any warrant protections. The vote is scheduled for the week of April 13th. That is next week. That is a few days away. So everybody needs to call him right now or tomorrow, okay? His DC office number is 202-225-4076. You don't have to be from Arkansas. Any American can call him. In fact, I'm going to call him right now and show you how to do it, okay? Because I know it can be scary sometimes. I'm going to have to put you guys on my computer screen. One sec.
Thank you for calling the office of Congressman Rick Crawford. I'm sorry we could not answer your call. If you'd like to leave an opinion for the congressman, please give us your name, the county you are calling from, and a brief message. If you are in need of assistance, please give us your name, an email address, or a phone number, and a brief message detailing the issue you need help with, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Hi, my name is Audrey Henson, and I'm calling to request that Chairman Crawford add warrant requirements to the FISA authorization before it goes to the floor. I just don't think that the Fourth Amendment should have loopholes like this in it, and the government should not be able to buy data from third parties. So please be on the right side of history with this. This is going to affect you and your family too. Thank you. I'm not good at that. Now, if legislation doesn't pass with protections, if the government thinks that they can keep building a system with no oversight and no public vote, then we need to have a much bigger conversation about what compliance means when the system that you're complying with is being used against you, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. But that is a bigger conversation with pretty big consequences, and nobody should be having that conversation alone. So the first step is to do just what I did and call his office and try to delete your data, and we'll start there, and we'll see what next week brings.
Okay, what do you guys think of that channel? I got a lot of new ones to look at. See what we got at the bottom here.
Sanctuary jails.
Arlington police say on April 12th, Luzvin Orvando Garcia Moran attempted to rape a woman at 5:41 in the morning in Clarendon. Police say the woman was waiting for a ride share when Garcia Moran started talking to her. The victim walked away. He followed, grabbed her, pushed her into a wall, and physically assaulted her. The victim was able to get away, but he wasn't done. Police say Garcia Moran reapproached and assaulted her again. When the victim yelled for help, 2 people came to her aid and called police. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security confirms Garcia Moran is in the country illegally. He's from Guatemala, and he has at least 25 prior charges over the past 6 years, including charges for assault and battery and attempting to disarm a police officer. Instead of being transferred to ICE for deportation, he was released back into the community.
So a couple of things. Number one, it was very early in the morning and she was getting a ride share. This is an area where a lot of women get ride shares and they take transportation. They're going to school, they're going to work. This is Arlington, so that happens a lot. Also, whenever I'm talking about these cases, it's always at random. It's always somebody minding their own business. In Fairfax, Virginia, not that long ago, it was another situation where a woman was waiting for a bus early in the morning going to work, I believe. And if I would have played that clip longer, you would have heard them say that it was the sheriff who released this individual back into the public despite all of this. Well, in the state of Virginia, you have sanctuary jails. If you go, there's a website called the Center of Immigration Studies. They have an interactive sanctuary map where you can look all over the United States. You look in Virginia, almost every jail, even in like red districts, is or was a sanctuary jail. I'm sure they are now. Glenn Youngkin tried to stop that. I'm sure that's back on now. So essentially what that means is even if it's not a sanctuary state or a sanctuary like county, the jail itself will act as sanctuary, which I never even heard before until I looked at this stuff in Virginia. So that's why you see these sheriffs. And it's wild because these are the places that are supposed to be holding criminals accountable, and they have a way to hold people accountable, repeat offenders, people who are in our country illegally, and they're just releasing them back out on the street. Sanctuary jails. One of the
Okay, another important one from her. So I got a 10-minute one I want to play about Obama. Flying Eagle said that he's home, so I want to make sure, because he judges the ones if I played or not played, so I'm not sure if I played this one.
The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration. We're here today because the American people deserve the truth, they deserve accountability, and they deserve justice.
The precedent has been set. I can show you Donald Trump's mugshot. The second the communists took power, they had Donald Trump arrested in every jurisdiction in the United States of America. They tried to blow his head off and send him to prison for 90 years. So don't tell me former presidents are untouchable. No, sir. The president of the United States of America cooked the books on his orders of intelligence in order to create a false narrative about the incoming president who was about to be sworn in. He used the Central Intelligence Agency like it was the DNC. He used the FBI like it was the DNC. He used the DNI like it was the DNC, politicking with his office. That is a crime so severe, Barack Obama should never see the light of day again. He deserves a trial, a fair trial, a public trial, because that's what the American people deserve. And then he deserves to go to prison for the rest of his natural life. And not just because I hate him, but because the next time we get a scumbag like that in the Oval Office, he has to look at Barack Obama rotting in Fort Leavenworth and say to himself, well, I guess the CIA probably isn't my political arm, so maybe I should back off of that. This moment, I'm not just saying this for radio purposes, is everything for this country. I do not believe we can hold the United States of America together if these people don't go to prison. Because the American people do not believe in their institutions anymore. That ship has already sailed.
XK Flying Eagle said the same thing.
And in order to earn back institutional trust, there is only one thing that works. There's not two. There's only one. Accountability.
This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not speculation. This is documented fact. For years, they told us Trump was the threat to democracy, but the real threat was the attempt to remove him. On December 9, 2016, inside the Obama White House, a classified meeting took place. Present were CIA Director John Brennan, DNI James Clapper, FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and several senior officials. Barack Obama was there, and what they discussed would become the most coordinated political deception in U.S. history. Just days earlier, an internal intelligence community report concluded Russia had not altered the outcome of the 26th election. On December 7, DNI Clapper reaffirmed it. Quote, foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on critical infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome. End quote. That wasn't the story the Obama administration wanted. So after that White House meeting, Clapper's executive assistant sent out an email. The order: prepare a new intelligence assessment, one that aligned with the president's request. That's right, intelligence was politicized at the highest levels under the direction of a sitting president to frame the incoming one. They buried prior reports. They inflated the Steele dossier. They reversed conclusions, and they launched the January 6, 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment, used to trigger investigations, media hysteria, FISA warrants, and ultimately impeachment. It was a soft coup. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has now declassified the emails, memos, and reports. In her words, this was a treasonous conspiracy orchestrated by Barack Obama and carried out by key members of his administration. General Flynn calls it the greatest crime in American history. Others are demanding arrests, indictments, and immediate action from the DOJ, because if this stands, our constitutional republic falls. We now have names. We have documents. We have sworn testimony. No more theories, only accountability.
Knew about this attempt to get and preserve information, and full transparency, we're doing some work yourself. Tell us about that.
I was urging my former colleagues and frankly speaking, the people on the Hill. It was more actually aimed at telling the Hill people, get as much information as you can, get as much intelligence as you can before President Obama leaves the administration, because I had a fear that somehow that information would disappear with the senior people who left. So it would be hidden away in the bureaucracy, that the Trump folks, if they found out how we knew what we knew about the Trump staff's dealing with Russians, that they would try to compromise those sources and methods, meaning we would no longer have access to that intelligence. So I became very worried because not enough was coming out into the open, and I knew that there was more. We have very good intelligence on Russia. So then I had talked to some of my former colleagues, and I knew that they were trying to also help get information to the Hill.
A lot going on today.
Yeah.
Mark,
that's why you have the leaking.
For President Obama, we might not have done the intelligence community assessment that we did that set off a whole sequence of events which are still unfolding today. President Obama is responsible for that, and it was he who tasked us to do that intelligence community assessment in the first place. It was he who tasked us to do that intelligence community assessment.
The implications of this are frankly nothing short of historic. Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office, after President Trump had already gotten elected. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern every single American, because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic.
They caught President Obama absolutely cold, Tulsi Gabbard. What they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up to 2020 in the election. They tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. You know, when we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible. And I let her off the hook, and I'm very happy I did. But it's time to start, after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level.
Okay, I didn't know that was going to be that important there. Wasn't expecting that. We got our TikTok lady. 3 minutes on the first one. I thought I had another one.
Everybody else thinks. Everybody is so concerned with trying to be polite and be politically correct and do the right thing. That's why we are in the position that we are in right now. That's why the United States is where it's at right now. Because us as conservatives sit back and kept our mouths shut and didn't do and still haven't done anything about what is happening to this country right now. We are watching the downfall of the United States. We're watching it. We're talking about it on TikTok. But not one of us has the balls that the 1776 people had. Okay? Let me tell you what just happened in Italy just a few days ago. Okay? Are you ready? If you have a sensitive stomach or love animals, you might want to not listen to this. Or maybe you do. A Nigerian illegal. And here's the thing, they're more concerned about where he did it at. And yeah, that is a concern. That's a big fucking concern. Oops, I said the F word. The fact that this is their mentality and they are here should really upset you. A Nigerian illegal goes to a child's playground in Italy, makes himself a homemade grill, grabs his ass a cat, and proceeds to throw it on the grill and cook it. So of course, nobody stopped him. Nobody ran up to him and shoved the motherfucker down and said, "What are you doing?" and saved the cat. None of that happened. They did call the authorities, who got there. And by this time he was standing away because the flames were so high, waiting on his meal to be cooked. He was arrested, but charges were dropped. He just cooked a cat in a child's playground in Italy, and the charges were dropped.
Carol.
They're here. They are here. This is third world shitty fucking countries bringing their shitty fucking culture to the United States. Now, if y'all saw me out here in my front yard throwing one of my cats on the grill, I would hope that somebody would put me out of my misery. You know what I'm saying? But instead, we sit back. When someone's having their throat ripped open on a train, we just keep on posting on TikTok. Yeah, here I'm sitting in a train. POV, it's a drag path. Ukrainian girl getting her throat slashed. Nobody wants to get involved. And I think that started with Daniel, who stepped in to try to help on the subway, and they tried to put his ass in prison. We as Americans need to stand up for our country. This is all we have. This is all your kids have. This is it. When it's gone, there's no coming back. Think I'm lying? Ask the Iranian people. Oh, and by the way, I stand by what I said. I believe that Iran will line everybody up in Iran and blow their entire country away before they give in. I've said it. I keep saying it. There's no surrender. It's not going to happen. And that Islamic regime is here.
She's right. Hey, that was the first one on her, and hopefully we'll get another one later. Billy Bean time. Then I got a 6-part off a lady on Telegram. Kind of interesting.
Without the shop, Welcome to Truth by Billy Bean. Today's date, April 22, 2026. Time in Texas about 11 a.m. A flash update. President Trump, get ready, set, go. And we can confirm the IRGC coup and that the U.S. blockade continues to seize a vessel, and that Iran also is seizing ships. We've had a dust-up between the CIA and Sinaloa cartel and Mexico, and the U.S. is now turning away Chinese and their visas. So let's get started. So we have this from U.S. Intel. Kuwait currently provides 3% of global oil, 2.6 to 2.8 million barrels per day. Kuwait, because of the conflict in the Middle East, is now not able to ship its oil, and it is declaring force majeure, cannot meet its contract's obligations due to circumstances beyond its control. And we have this also from U.S. Intel, that we have marketers who buy and sell silver now buying options up to December of 2026, months away, and predicting the price of an ounce of silver will be $900 to $1,000 per ounce. Currently, it's at $80 per ounce. Now, we've seen several sources. We saw Air Canada canceling flights to JFK because JFK increased the cost of jet fuel 100%. But Air Canada canceled flights there for the next 5 months. Now we have silver marketers projecting out into the future to December of 2026, some world events increasing the value of silver. So that's going on. We have President Trump directing his DOJ to indict the Southern Poverty Law Center, declaring that Southern Poverty Law had violated its charity status by giving $1 million to Ku Klux Klan. So that's going on, a deep state operation. We have this from Breitbart. So we had an appeals court in Texas, the Fifth Circuit Appeals, just in the last couple of days, today, actually, April 22, declaring that the Texas law requiring schools to display the 10 Commandments can stand because Texas law is not requiring students to engage in religious belief. It's predicted this will go to the Supreme Court. And we have this, U.S. Intel. So Iran has fired upon 3 ships, actually, and seized 2 of them today. They take custody and have put them in Iranian ports. These are cargo ships. One is Panama flagged MSC Francesca, and one is Liberia flagged Epinoladas. And Iran is saying it's doing this because the U.S. extends their blockade, which is destroying the economy of Iran. Yeah. Iran seizes 2 cargo ships in its territorial waters. Now, it's being put forth by Mary Greeley that Iran gave no warning to these 2 ships and that Iran fired upon them using small speedboats. and heavily damaged both ships so that they are dead in the water. And then they've been taken into Iran ports. So that's going on. And also reports the U.S. blockade has also seized another vessel, a Iranian tanker filled with oil, part of Iran's shadow fleet. So that's going on. And we have this, that, Iran maintains it controls the Strait of Hormuz. And to prove that, it seized 2 ships today and fired upon a third. From U.S. intel, coming from Russian intel, intercepted by U.S. intel. Okay. April 21, last night, about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Russia gave warning to Iran. Make no mistake about it, the U.S. is fighting Iran, China, and Russia. Russia warns Iran that the U.S. is likely to put forth a ground invasion, and that we know the U.S. military continues its surge into the Middle East. And also Russian intel and U.S. intel confirm the IRGC, led by General Ahmad Vahidi, has indeed brought about a coup inside Iran and putting under house arrest President Prigozhin, Speaker Galibaf, and Foreign Minister Arachi. So the IRGC appears to now be in control of Iran. And really, that makes it easier for the U.S. military. Once you have a stand-up party, then the U.S. knows exactly who and what and where to target. We have this, that the U.S. preps to hit Iran. That would indeed correlate to the Russian intel to Iran that the U.S. preps for a ground invasion. So we had last night a plane going from the U.S. to Israel, on board 30.
Imagine if you could turn any idea in your mind into a perfect, realistic photo. No Photoshop skills.
Intel analysts who were actively engaging and receiving and transmitting information, data direct to the U.S. military on the ground. That also correlates to information we had coming out yesterday. So this is going on. Now, the U.S. is turning away Chinese coming from China, holding visas, but their visas are not being honored at the Seattle-Tacoma airport. Now China warns their citizens not to go through that airport. I submit this, President Trump. We should cut off all Chinese coming into the U.S. at any airport, because we definitely know they're up to no good. We have this from Real Raw News. We can confirm there was a dust-up in Mexico on the Chihuahua Juarez Highway. That happened April 20. We had 2 CIA and 2 Mexican intel officials killed by the Sinaloa cartel. Now, it's been known, and certainly many people are familiar with the movies Sicario and Sicario 2, that demonstrates the CIA has infiltrated many cartels and is actively working against the cartels to bring down the flow of drugs into the U.S. But this dust-up, April 20, killing 2 CIA and 2 Mexican intel officials, was allegedly because They were bringing out information tying the Sinaloa cartel to the kidnapping of American children in Mexico City. Sinaloa then would ransom the American children. I submit this. There's way more to this story than meets the eye. And the CIA and the Mexican intel officials were killed. Their vehicle was surrounded by 3 pickup trucks with armed narcos, Sinaloa, who then, it's believed, tossed a bomb into the car. It exploded. So that's going on. And we have this. Yeah. So we see what's going on in the Middle East. Also is tied to, I submit, what's going on with the U.S. turning away Chinese, even though they have valid visas. I believe there's some intel involved there. We also see some situation going on in Mexico, and we know in Mexico, Chinese military, 100,000 are bivouacking. So that's going on. It appears that the U.S. will continue the blockade, and it appears that the U.S. military is prepping to go hot in Iran. This concludes my flash update. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, that's the first one. I'm going to be playing that hour video here shortly.
Hesitation. It is sequencing. You do not announce takedown while the network is still being rounded up.
5 minutes.
You cut the exits first. This operation is synchronized with global financial restructuring, asset recovery, and institutional collapse prevention. Removing the criminals without stabilizing the system would trigger chaos. All right, what is unfolding now is not random enforcement. It is a coordinated multi-year military operation executed under sealed indictments and international wartime jurisdiction. These arrests are not political theater. They are precision strikes against an integrated global criminal network that operated above national law for decades. The targets are not low-level operatives. They are financial controllers, NGO intermediaries, media gatekeepers, pharmaceutical executives, intelligence cutouts, and religious laundering channels used to move money, traffic influence, and shield crimes. The same structure repeats across continents because it was centralized by design. This is why multiple countries are involved simultaneously. Jurisdiction hopping no longer works. Diplomatic immunity no longer protects. And offshore accounts no longer hide assets. Military tribunals bypass corrupted civil courts that were compromised long, long ago. Financial freezes are already active. Shell foundations are being dismantled. Data servers are being seized. Evidence chains are locked and mirrored across multiple allied commands. This phase is about containment, isolation, and extraction. Public exposure always comes last, and I will repeat that. Public exposure always comes last. The delay people sense is not hesitation. It is sequencing. You do not announce a takedown while the network is still being rounded up. You cut the exits first. This operation is synchronized with global financial restructuring, asset recovery, and institutional collapse prevention. Removing the criminals without stabilizing the system would trigger chaos. I hope you understand this. That is why the process is controlled, quiet, and methodical. Military precision, folks. History will record this period as the moment the shadow governance ended. Having said that, nothing can stop what's coming. This is God ordained. All the people are in place. Everything's in motion. This is dark to light. And for sure, where we go one, we go all.
I guess that was it. Okay, I got, see what I got up here. Okay. All right, we'll get Doug out of the way for Kim. There's a new one, Kim, for you. $12 is short. It's a short one.
This is what service looks like. And this, because service wears many uniforms.
Well, the Democrat Party is funding the Klan, the KKK, and Nazis. I know what you're thinking. Again? Those wacky Democrats. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. As this is Kash Patel, Todd Blanche doing great work. This is the media going up to Todd Blanche going, wait. Are you telling me the Democrats fund the Klan?
I want to make sure I understand. You're alleging that the Southern Poverty Law Center was paying the leaders of KKK and other groups to continue their operations? Is that?
I'm not alleging it. The grand jury returned an indictment that says that. And so,
yeah, I'm not saying it. A unelected grand jury went and looked at it, and now they have returned an indictment against them. So this is not an allegation anymore. This is an indictment.
What the investigation found, according to the indictment that was returned today, is that they were paying. So Southern Poverty Law Center is raising money, asking folks to give them money to dismantle racism, and over a very long period of time, they were using some of the money they raised from donors to pay to, they call them field, basically to informants, for information, for access, to just pay them for certain to do certain things. And so, yes, that's exactly what the indictment charges.
Okay. On the payroll, they were paying them as informants and as paid protesters to make sure those Klansmen showed up at Charlotte. This is dial-a-racist, where when you really need a false flag and you need to buy something to pin racism on your enemy, you make sure those rebel flags are there. You make sure those white power symbols are there. You got to pay for them. The Southern Poverty Law Center paid for them to be there so that they could then make a big public to-do about, oh, we're fighting this. But they paid for them to show up. Now, one of the things that you don't have to pay for is your free call to Chapter to help you save money on Medicare. Look at this. Here's one of you. Chapter, help me save a few, because this goes much deeper. This is Brandon Gill on the SPLC going after Catholics. They got the FBI to go after Catholics. The FBI cited the Southern Poverty Law Center as a legitimate source.
A so-called hate map from the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, as it was going after traditional Catholics and labeling them domestic extremists. Do you think that that's an appropriate source?
Absolutely not.
Do you know some of the other groups that the SPLC labels as hate groups or extremist groups?
No, I don't, off the top of my head.
I can name a few. They also name the Alliance Defending Freedom, the Family Research Council, and Moms for Liberty as hate groups as well.
It's like calling Focus on the Family or James Dobson a hate group. Point being, Gill was on that years ago. I'm going to show you all the wise people that were onto this from the very start. Okay. This is Joe Biden on the Unite the Right stuff, where he was trying to go after them as a formal racist institution. Biden ran on this. It was funded by the Democrat Party, guys.
When I spoke to the mom who lost her daughter, it's a consequence of those neo-Nazis, white supremacists come out of fields in America with torches, carrying Nazi banners, singing the same sick anti-Semitic bile that was sung in Germany in the 30s.
They were paid to sing it by the SPLC.
And when her daughter was killed, the press went to the then President Trump and said, "What do you think?" He said, "They're very fine people on both sides."
The daughter was not killed because she was targeted by racists to kill her. A guy freaked out, backed his car up, and killed her during a giant riot. So it had nothing to do with the actual subject matter of your daughter was killed because he makes it sound like some white guy mowed over a black girl with a car, which is not what happened.
I knew then. I knew I'd do something. And that's how I decided to run.
He decided to run on the fake news created against Trump by the SPLC.
Because democracy was literally at stake. And, and then he evidenced everything that we thought. January 6th, when attack on the Capitol.
January 6th.
He talked about now, because he now talks about making sure they're all let out of prison. They're going to pardon them.
This is a guy who pardoned Biden did 1,500 murderers from death row. Look, first of all, he can't put three words together. He's in a coma. He doesn't even know what he's saying. These are talking points given to him by his own party. And it's what they've always run on. They have always been liars. They've always said that we're racist and Trump is racist. They were always the real racists. The Democrat Party started the KKK, are the KKK, fund the KKK for the last 20 years, and manipulate them and use them to get stupid blacks to vote for Democrats who are funding the racism against them. Sorry to call you dumb, but I mean, anyone who votes Democrat in the name of ending racism, the Democrat Party exterminates half of the black babies every day. Half of the black babies, they exterminate them. This is the Ku Klux Klan's wet dream. And blacks will still vote for them, the Democrats, because they think Trump is a racist.
I ran for president in 2020 because of what I saw in Charlottesville in August of 2017. Extremists coming out of the woods,
funded,
carrying torches, their veins bulging.
Veins bulging. Whoa, Biden. Hold on there, son. Are you sure this isn't the LGBTQ? Are you sure this isn't the Pride Parade you're talking about? Here's Charlie Kirk warning about the criminal organization known as the SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, that went after him before he died. Probably were behind inspiring the guy that shot him.
The Southern Poverty Law Center has now labeled, you're in the club with me, by the way, they've labeled Turning Point as a hate group.
Yes, it's
coming from a hateful group like
it's surprised it took them so long to get us on the list.
What took you so long, Charlie?
Understand that they're literally putting high school chapters of ours on a hate group next to the KKK and next to neo-Nazi groups. And I mean, we can laugh this off. There's an element to this. Remember that there was a shooter that went to the Family Research Council years ago, inspired by the SPLC list. This is them trying to make us basically surrender at Turning Point USA. We're going to do the opposite.
Wow, that's prophetic. He said that a shooter was inspired by the SPLC to go to a family research center and, perform violence. And lo and behold, that's what happened to Charlie. Probably connected, maybe. I'm just speculating here. But I do know that Democrats are scum, always defending the SPLC, like Jamie Raskin.
Now, in other times, Democrats and Republicans alike would rely on the Southern Poverty Law Center to help us keep track of the movements of violent white supremacy in the country.
And now we find out that the Democrats, the Southern Poverty Law Center, only can track the movements because they pay for the movements.
The Southern Poverty Law Center has been a vigilant voice in civil society against radical white nationalist violence and extremism, neo-Nazism, and other forces across the political spectrum.
Entirely funded by the SPLC. Good job, guys. Wait, this goes farther, because even this is the gift that kept on giving for the Democrats, because Democrat Party are so stupid, and voters for Kamala Harris are so stupid that they kept running on the Charlottesville hoax.
Let's remember Charlottesville.
Sure.
Where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember.
Remember, that was edited by the news, the fine people on each side, because Trump clarified back then and said, this does not include the white supremacists, but there are fine people on both sides because they were MAGA versus anti-MAGA. And Kamala Harris, of course, carried the lie like an imbecile, like the racist liars they are, and she's trying to defend the payment of these racists. And now the Democrats, they have She talked about anti-Jew hatred. The Democrats just are voting for them in Michigan. Explicit anti-Semite, anti-Jew haters. In fact, a Jew can't even win in that party anymore. This is meme of the day. We pay people to be racist so we can fight racism. That's the Southern Poverty Law Center. Right. That's exactly what they're doing across the board. We're going to end right here on Kash Patel because he's the one that really is getting credit for this one.
We're here today is to announce what the general just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive sweeping indictment, has been charged with allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud. I just want to talk about a couple of brief things here. The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups. However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups. I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups.
Do you know why they have to pay for racism? They have to pay to promote it because America is not a naturally racist place. It doesn't naturally occur here. In general, we are not racist. The only way that you can foment up racism is if the Democrat Party funds it. So they're the ones that are putting it on the increase. This is a massive scandal. This is going to open up everything because we're going to get the emails from the SPLC in discovery, and it's going to point to the entire Democrat network. They're funding the kinds of evils that they're doing against pro-lifers, against Catholics, against Christians, and even funding false flag white supremacist groups to try and slander their enemies. This is a front to back complete shakedown and always has been. I'm Doug in exile. Call that number at chapter.
Okay, Ken, that was the one that just came out an hour ago. I got to play Benny one before we play the 58-minute one about the Virginia election today. I guess it was rigged.
If you across the board, early voting, day of voting, it was a fairly even split. Then suddenly the mail-in ballots are like 75-25. Like you could predict this. You see this coming. There's a whole separate conversation about, we should have anticipated it. We should have had a better turnout model on our side. But that's a separate conversation.
So you think the election last night to gerrymander Virginia, which, by the way, let me just set the framing for all of this. So it came down 51-49. That's how they won. That's how they always win. That's always the percentage. That's the percentage of Joe Biden in every single algorithmically won swing state. It's always that exact same. Yep. And that's for every Georgia Senate seat that they stole as well. Like it's 51-49 every single time. That's the numbers they plug into the computer, right, in order to get the results. But I chuckled to myself when I saw the final numbers this morning. What that is 51% of the population stripping away the civil right of representation from 49% of the population. That's how you get a civil war.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's how you get, that's like almost like human right violation, but it certainly is constitutionally a massive violation. And you can't have like these limited. Kamala Harris won Virginia by what, 4.5 points?
Right.
And now it's 1 to 9, 1 to 10. The congressional split.
Yeah.
With Northern DC controlling 6 different congressional districts.
That's right.
A congressman. This is a broken system.
It is broken, but you also look at the math. I mean, like, again, early voting, day of voting, it was a fairly even split, and the mail-in ballots, are disproportionately out of skew from like the population at large, the mass majority of the votes. And so that tells you something is off. There was a coordinated, manufactured result with the mail-in ballots, which is what the Democrats are good at. I mean, that you saw it in the presidential election when Trump was defeated, is that suddenly there was all of these mail-in ballots because we need what? We need 10,000 more ballots. Oh, look, we found a box under the table, and they're not postmarked or stamped or anything, but that's okay. We're going to sue to make sure they're counted. And so that's what they do, and they lie, cheat, and steal. Which again, the Save America Act. 83% of Americans think that you should be a citizen to vote, and yet the Senate won't do anything. Well, we're literally handing the next election to the Democrats if the Senate doesn't get that passed. I don't know what the crap Thune is thinking. There's no reason they shouldn't be passing this right now.
So you believe that the Virginia election was rigged and stolen? Do you think that the Trump administration should put a little pressure on Virginia?
Just look at the numbers, follow the numbers, and see where they lead. And I
think $65 million of dark money that went in.
Just crazy.
All of it was outside of Virginia.
Sure. I mean, but again, that's what they do. But this was a predictable outcome. And where are the Republicans? Why wasn't this not a priority? Look at the money that's being spent against Massey. Look at the money that's being spent in the Texas AG race. When we had this right in front of us that literally can determine the future, the course of our nation, and somehow or another we didn't deliver a victory. I have a problem with that. And I think there should be some really tough conversations had about that. Who was responsible? How it could have been, the outcome could have been different, and whether or not people should be fired.
Yes. Well, I mean, we have the map up right here. Look at look at this. 49-51. Just like you plunk it right into a machine. This is the numbers. It's always the numbers. This is the numbers in the Brazilian election.
That's right.
It's always the same. And then as soon as the left seizes power, which is what they did in Virginia, as soon as the left seizes power, they immediately rigged the game, and they called it fairness. This isn't fairness. This is stripping the rights away from Virginians. This is what it is. It's total and complete disenfranchisement for the red state of Virginia, which just had a Republican governor. I mean, it's like a couple months ago, they had a Republican governor. And now in the time span of a few weeks, Democrats have stripped all power from Republicans and disenfranchised them and frankly, taken away their civil rights.
It'll be interesting. Ultimately, there'll be a lawsuit. It'll go to the Virginia Supreme Court. I would expect that they'll uphold the referendum, but we'll see. But it should never have gotten this far. Republicans should have had a better turnout model. We should have won that. And quite frankly, you should have a representative government in Virginia, which now you won't because of the referendum.
No, it's totally evil. It's what they're going to do to the entire rest of the country. I mean, they're signaling all of this. I can't let you go, Congressman, without asking about my favorite topic, which is Ilhan Omar's financial disclosures.
Favorite topic.
How do you just suddenly magically find liabilities that make you not a multimillionaire? Have you ever? Well, we know each other. I saw you. I've hung out with you once or twice socially, right at John Rich's house. You didn't come up to me and be like, "Hey, I'm a multimillionaire."
Yeah, right.
No. Accidentally. This is not normal things for people.
I'm a working class dude, man.
Yeah. So how does that happen exactly? Is that a crime to lie on those documents to such an egregious extent?
Ultimately, they'll do, their investigation. They'll take a look at it. Mistakes happen, but typically they're smaller. I think there's about a $30 million mistake, and it was being widely reported. I guess that's the context of is that her wealth was being inflated, and it was a big media cycle, right? It was part of the story and the narrative, and then suddenly you find that actually that's not true, and so. Was there a bankruptcy? What happened? I'm not going to prejudge, but there's a lot of questions that have to be asked there. But again, kind of shifting to the DOJ in this press conference, people need to understand that this conspiracy that was built by the left to paint the right as racist and Nazi and violent is totally fabricated. So that begs the question: this heat map that they created, this vile contempt for Republicans, how did that play into Charlie Kirk's murder? Were they there on January 6th? You have millions upon millions of dollars. I mean, even in Nashville, you had the Patriot Front. They were posing as Nazis, marching in Nashville, right? You have a conservative organization, several in my district, that are on this heat map of being, the alt-right hate groups. And even here in D.C., where you had someone go into the Family Research Council and shot at a security guard. These types of things, there's a pattern and violence that follows this heat map, that follows what they were doing and what they were paying these conspiracies to incite violence against Republicans and to have people like me targeted. I mean, I have 24-hour security because of this type of rhetoric that is leveled against conservatives in this country, and that should be a crime, and kudos to the DOJ for going after it.
Klein has the hate map right here. Congressman, you can see there's plenty of little red dots on the SPLC hate map in your state. There it is.
Right there.
Wow. So they're potentially funding your assassination. And you said that because they went after Charlie Kirk and they did it constantly. Charlie said that the SPLC is a hate group. There's a tweet for everything. Charlie was constantly on Fox News talking about the SPLC, attacking him. We have the clips, of course. Do you believe that they played a part in Charlie Kirk's murder? What do you think should happen to them? Do you think that there's culpability here since they were actually funding the hate that they claim to be fighting?
Absolutely. If you and I did that, they would be coming after us. They threw everything at us that they could.
Of course.
And so, I mean, again, just follow the facts. Don't prejudge. But I think the facts lead to an ultimate conclusion is that this crisis that they were creating, this crisis of hate, that suddenly they need to take down Confederate monuments in Virginia because of all this hate crime that they paid for, right? You have the riots in the streets, whether it's Charlottesville or elsewhere, that they were paying for, right? That they brought the gasoline, they brought the matches, and they hand them to some homeless guy and they lit it. Like they knew what was going to happen. And so this kind of nonsense has got to stop. And again, if the right was doing this to the left, I mean, we all would have been in jail.
Do you think that they're funding Patriot Front? Do you think that's what's going on? Patriot Front's constantly in Nashville, right? With their little vans and their little outfits.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, just follow the money. And, this organization supports this organization, supports that organization. It's an incestuous octopus. The tentacles are spread all throughout the left. Look, this is a criminal enterprise that's been undermining our republic. And again, I kudos to the DOJ for going after this. And really, I mean, it can't be lost, ladies and gentlemen, when you think about the murder of Charlie Kirk, when you think about some of these hate crimes that have happened across this country, would they have happened had it not been for this vile rhetoric from the left? Even yesterday against me, CARE held a press conference labeling me as some racist because I'm defending my country, because I'm speaking the facts about the data in Europe about the mass rape of women and young girls in Europe by Muslims. Those are facts. Those aren't my statistics. That's from the French Interior Ministry. That's from the London police, right? I talk about that publicly and suddenly I'm a racist. No, I can just read data points. And the data points say that Muslims are disproportionately raping young girls across Europe. People should know that. They should just know it, right? Because it's fact and it's truth, and I'm not going to back down.
Data is racist, Congressman. You know that. That's the rule. Right. All right. That's the iron law. The data is racist. Don't talk about America's founding. Don't talk about who actually created this country. It's just an economic zone. Don't talk about why America is great, in the first place. Why is America a nation that who are the actual settlers here? Who were the actual people that settled this country? And then who are the aptly named don't talk about those things. It's racist. We're going to talk about them, and we're going to thank you, Congressman, for always talking about them. Follow Andy Ogles right here, the great congressman from Tennessee. Got hundreds of thousands of followers.
Okay, that was a big one update there from Virginia election. So, Flying Eagle, that one from DJ with that one guy, I'm not sure if everybody likes him or not, but I'm going to do the three hour thing. So, we got 118, it's 58 minutes. This was yesterday, I believe.
Boost to raise them instantly.
And we want to welcome His Glory Nation from east to west to north to south. Welcome to today's Take 5, a special double edition, 60 minutes worth of Derek Johnson. And there he is. Derek, thank you for joining us.
Anybody see that?
It's good to be here. I was going through the talking points, Derek. First of all, I do not have a crayon. I have a pen. I was going through the talking points, and there is some really interesting topics you're going to hit on today.
Oh, yes, definitely so. I'm ready.
All right, let's start with exposure and the Gitmo military tribunals. Are they happening now, and will we see them?
Well, what's crazy, if you go to the website and look at the calendar, the schedule, and if you've been following it the last 5-10 years, it's the same names every week. And that's not how courts martials or tribunals would work. When you go to military, any kind of court, they're swift because they already have what they have on you. It's not one of those where you need any kind of discoveries and different things of that nature like the civil courts do. When you're getting courts martial in the regular service, they already have dirt on you because that's the whole reason. And then military tribunals, which steps up to where even federal could be tried depending on what the crime is, the charge is, but especially like treason, sedition, crimes against humanity, you can go to military tribunal. They would already have that dirt on you. So, President Trump, when he first announced he was running, February 2016 specifically, he was speaking somewhere and Obama was speaking somewhere, and Obama said, we're going to shut down Guantanamo Bay. President Trump said, I heard, by the way, someone said, we're going to shut down Guantanamo Bay. No, we're not. We're going to keep it open. And then he said, we're going to load it with lots and lots of bad dudes. And one other quote, he specifically said tens, plural, of thousands, plural. So that's a lot of people. I've met people who have done fiber optics down there. They have expanded all the courtrooms. They've expanded the barracks. They've expanded everything down there, and they still have room to go. So my understanding is that they're probably already doing some of those because there were so many indictments. Now, how do you prove that? That's hard to prove in the sense of proof. Some of that's objective, subjective, however you want to look at it. But I'll tell you something, and I don't know the guy's name, so I can't, and I never would do that to the person. But I was speaking in California one time, a few years back, and this guy came up, had a big old handlebar mustache, and looked that old school cowboy. He told me, hey, I'm from Arizona. He said, the first time I ever heard you speak, I thought you were full of apply the word. And he said, because you're transparent, you're your full name, and then you said you're not a lawyer. He said, well, I am a lawyer. And so when you said this, this, and this, he said, you give the receipts. So I went and followed the receipts. And he said, holy, apply the word again. And then he said, what people don't realize is a lawyer under the bar, we have access to certain things that people don't. So when he looked up these indictments, he said he stopped counting at 100,000.
Wow. So,
you hear out there 700, somewhere 1,000 indictments. Well, an indictment could have 1 to 99 names in each indictment. So that would take time. And that's what people are not realizing, that, every single person that I've ever been around in my life will always say, don't trust the government, or Congress lies and politicians lie and this. Well, do we want to change that? Most people would say that if you could get them in a neutral setting without being political and also being, what side of the aisle are you on? Like, wouldn't you like to see something that works for all of us, where it's not strife and stress and yelling, kicking, cussing? And most people would do that if you could get them in an element where they're just chill. So what would that plan look like? How would you do it lawfully? You got to do it lawfully and by integrity, because if you cut corners, then you're no different than the ones who were cutting corners before or cheating before. So it had to be a lawful plan. And there's only one plan that's separate outside of an all-out, civil war or anything of that nature, getting back to the insurrections. Our founding fathers said insurrections were the last line of defense. That was patriots showing they didn't want to lose their nation to what had already been established by law. So many people just don't know that. And I know a lot of people are just tired, stressed, and things like that. But they got to trust somebody at some point. If they don't trust God, they got to trust the military, because what else can you trust that's going to fight for you?
Exactly. And, open source, all people have to do. I looked at Guantanamo Bay myself because I know people who say they've been there, and I don't know why they would lie to me, but just open source information, all the millions of dollars that were poured into Guantanamo Bay for 17 so-called ISIS terrorists from Obama doesn't make any sense. And then there's another key thing is that the call-ups to Guantanamo Bay, I saw those orders as well. And they were when I was in the Marines, my MOS was security forces. I guarded naval bases. And that's what the call-up were: military, police, security forces. Those are the majority of the call-ups.
Well, and also there's one big key that gets into the next segment of what President Trump did that is so is biblical. There's nothing short of biblical. Everything else is under that: historical, monumental, unique, all those, but it's biblical. The 45-47. There's one key thing that ties into Guantanamo Bay. So Obama had issued an executive order in 2009. So everybody knows he left office 2016, calendar year would be 2017, but 2016 election-wise. So you're talking about all those years he had this executive order that he issued. Now, an executive order alone doesn't shut down Guantanamo Bay. That would be a congressional process if they ever tried to do so or wanted to do so. But he put an executive order in, which means if there's an executive order there, it must be addressed that executive order is still open. Well, that executive order was still open when President Trump took the helm. And then January 30th, 2018, so it would have been a whole year into President Trump revoked the portion of that executive order that was going to shut down Guantanamo Bay. So what shows people that, quote unquote, I call him quote unquote Joe, because it's a unique strategy that my grandfather served under in the 40s. It's a slightly different variation. They used a hybrid warfare model of puppet and shadow government, but it's an absolute fact that quote unquote Joe was not president. And President Trump's already validated this for one of his other big actions that's been taken. But then when you put all the other pieces around it, you'll see what I'm saying right now. So I tell people to hang on because of what I'm about to say. But quote unquote Joe, if he was president, he'd have the same power as every other president. And there'd be nothing that anybody can do short of insurrections or civil war, because no one's done anything before with Obama all the way back to Lyndon Johnson, let's say, because that's when the true craziness really started in this nation. So no one's done anything before. So they weren't going to do anything. So how come Joe couldn't revoke the portion of President Trump's that was keeping it open? And if everybody would go back to that painful 2020, now I know he was already replaced. That was already a double in on that, even the debate for 2020 when President Trump said, we have it all. We've caught them all. No one could have caught them but me. Well, that was already a replacement. Now that answer is also in a puppet government, why you would need replacements and other things, right? But in those speeches, every one of his quote unquote speeches on his campaign, half of them, if you go back, listen to them, were geared around shutting down Guantanamo Bay. So to regular people out there, especially Democrats and liberals, that would be a promise broken. Why didn't they do so? And then also the big cherry on top is from 21 to 23, it was displayed to the world that Joe had a Democrat House and a Democrat Senate. They couldn't terminate any of President Trump's military orders or anything. They didn't automatically terminate. Why didn't they automatically terminate?
Yeah.
Why did they make it all the way through to President Trump now? So what gets us into the next.
So the next thing that I want to talk to is about EAS, upcoming day of prayer, May 17th. The Lord's put on my heart that May 17th is a gigantic day for this country, spiritually. But before we get to that, something interesting I'm hearing that's actually happening in the United States. I want to get your thoughts on this. And there's call-ups out of the blue, so to speak, to me, on National Guard, specifically Texas. And why would President Trump do that and the military do that when the war with Iran looks to be over? Have you heard about these call-ups and reservists around the country?
Well, the reserve clause it's the only reserve clause that's open right now is Executive Order 13912 and also 13919. That's March 27, 2020. and April 30th, 2020. So how are the reserves still? See, that proves right there Joe wasn't president. All right, because in a National Guard or reserve call up, especially reserves though, that's Title 10 only. That's federal only. Right. So National Guard, you can get into Title 10 or Title 32, governor versus president. But in the reserve column, that's Title 10. The only reserve orders that are open right now are way out there. And President Trump hasn't issued any new reserve call-ups as far as he's done additions, but he hasn't done an all-out order that's a foundational order. The foundational order is the Executive Order 13912. It invoked Title 10, Section 12302, 1 million reserve components to active duty. All right, that's a lot of reserves to active duty. See, a lot of people don't hear that. That's additional service members, right, being called up. And also in that executive order, 4 different titles from the Coast Guard also was called up. So, you know, and retirees especially, that's even bigger. So it shows we'll never need a draft while we're sitting here on this subject, because they'll go to us before they'll go to civilians that's never been trained. But, you know, the whole Texas border thing, you know, that thing was such a, that's the biggest one way back in 2022 that could show, in 2024 that could show what was going on. It was not really real in another manner. You know, and I know people out there, they'll think, well, why are they tricking us? And why would they do, you know, displays and blow ups and things like that? And I'm saying, well, because this is such a biblical, historical, monumental operation, when we get to the finish line, you're going to appreciate why the military did what they did on a world global level, because the way the military operates, period, is a global, but from a, you know, 40,000 foot view down, a lot of Americans always just see Iraq or Afghanistan or, you know, one incident. The military is always looking at global from a 40,000 foot view, always, you know, because that's just how we operate, how we do. So the Texas border really was heavily in 2024, where President Trump went down. He was the only person seen at the border, not even Joe or not Kamala and the people that they thought were actually their leaders. That's a big thing because he was with your governor, right, Abbott, and then the adjutant general, all in one image. They were standing there live on TV, which was a press conference to the people. That was a proclamation, ladies and gentlemen. That wasn't a press conference. The adjutant general gave that whole scene away. The adjutant general reports to the governor unless the National Guard are federalized by Title 10. The week before President Trump got there and the week after he got there, 14 states deployed to Texas. States leaving, going to a state on an operation, ladies and gentlemen, it shows you that is not a governor Title 32 call-up. That's a federal call-up, and they gave you a visual. You also don't salute a former commander. When President Trump walked in the fob down there, they at eased him and saluted. At that time, he was a former president to the American people. But see, they gave you all these visuals and images and also straight up regulations, traditions, and customs on the military that says, no, he's not a former. You don't salute a former commander. You don't at ease a former commander. And he wouldn't be saluting the flag either, because just because you become president, it don't negate the fact that you weren't a veteran before, right? That when a president leaves office and he wasn't a veteran before, all those salutes are ceased, they're void, right? Because he becomes a civilian again. Now, if he was a retiree or if he was a veteran before, he could salute all day long after office. So there's a lot of things that show people that what's going on right now is more of the joint task cleanup, like what's going on in Iran. They send in the special operations and Marine Corps, right? It's not infantry and boots on the ground from that nature. They're all joint task forces, which traditionally are for cleanup purposes, especially what we're doing with Iran. It's a cleanup and making sure that the people, you know, that had to flee and President Trump gave them time to get out, their airports, their roadways, all these things, manpower. And we know the special operations and Marine Corps are your strongest soldiers on the field. And we're talking also for things, even something as simple as lifting something out of the way, objects out of the way. You know, so people have to look at it from that angle, that a lot of it's going to be now the cleanup and then also getting into the communities. A lot of people forget that the military are also people. We go into villages, we go into towns, we go into cities, we go into, churches, we go in places and talk to people, right? And bring that unity together. So President Trump's ultimate goal in the end is the unity. No matter what people see, I tell people it's just like the Bible, like Jesus Christ, when he's on the ship and his disciples, all these men have witnessed all his healing powers. And here they were sitting on a boat and the wind starts blowing and it starts rocking a little bit and they get scared. And he's like, hey, I'm sitting right here. Do you not see me? I've performed all these miracles. What are you scared of? A little wind, a little rain, a little. So see, if you focus on those elements and you're not focused on the commander, then but you got to know what the commander's plan is. So that's why I tell people that there is a blueprint. I have the blueprint. I don't know why God chose me, but I'm the only one with the full 45-47 blueprint with all the receipts that tie into the laws and the orders. And it shows that no, it's nothing to fear. It's all pre-planned.
Turn this to EAS, upcoming timing of the day of prayer and what to expect next. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, President Trump gave 2 markers 3 years ago, which is key. I tell everybody those midterm rallies, there's no such thing as a midterm rally. No one's ever seen a president go out 2 and 3 years before an election. And based on election rules, if you're going to be a rules person, based on election rules, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to get out ahead like that. And, you're supposed to be like a fair competition, and that's what election interference is all about. So President Trump has the executive order for election interference with the national emergency declared. That's also another thing that proves that President Trump never left office. This is all a military operation. 2018, 2020, 2022, 2024, all elections, the National Guard, cybersecurity teams have been at the elections. All right, we work in analog, not digital, which means we can collect all the data forensically, all right, without being hacked. So those things show that, all right. And then also President Trump filed a court case December the 14th, 2020 versus 7 swing states, which so happened to be the first time in history, the same 7 swing states in 2024. So he lost all of them in 2020, but he won all those in 2024. But right in the middle sits a Supreme Court case via the state of Texas. Has President Trump ever lived in Texas? I don't think so. Now, I think he'd be perfect there, and he needs one of these on his head. And he'd fit in right perfectly. So by the time you get to June the 14th, his 80th birthday, that's a big deal. Anybody who's ever had a family member make it to 80, it's a big deal because not many make it to 90, not many make it to 100. President Trump has said all along the way, I will be exonerated, not acquitted. I will be exonerated. All right, exoneration would mean you and I don't need him exonerated. Most Republicans don't need him exonerated. Most patriots don't need him exonerated. So who needs it? It would be on the other side, the ones out there yelling for his head, right? I mean, we're at a place in history where we have people wanting the president's head on a platter.
Yep.
If you look back at Abraham Lincoln, it's a polar opposite. People mourned that. People were like grief-stricken, even regular people, that someone would do something like that. And here we are. We have people rooting for it. So the time you get to his birthday, the time you get to July 4th, you and I, even me at my age, I may make it to the 275th birthday. I don't know about the 300th birthday of America. I would be in my 90s when that would happen. So 250, while you're here, any kind of massive monumental milestone is a big deal while you're living on the planet. Same thing about his 80th birthday. So what would make President Trump be able to sit back, relax, and see his name cleared to the public? It would be something that would require the revelation of what I'm talking about. That's what the whole dash is. I always keep it close by for people. Yep. That his whole legacy is this. That imagery is this. He put that there. He put it there 43 days after I signed my contract to write the books about the 45-47, before it was even a thing, with him at Trump International, which is the private course. Yep. So how did I know before, and how did he just write? But what did he do it on? Liberation Day, April the 2nd, right? He put this on his ball cap on Liberation Day, which was the midpoint between the 2021, what people thought was quote unquote Joe, which was actually a funeral service, but then 2025 before he took the helm again. So that was right dead in the middle. So what could you do? I tell people all the time, we can't have doomsday. We can't have a scare event like that because people already don't think nuclear is a big deal. You got Americans who walk around, they hear nuclear all the time, doesn't phase them one bit. We talk about Pearl Harbor. When we reminisce on things in history, it don't phase them a bit because they weren't there and it wasn't one of their family members like one of mine, right? So those things don't phase them. And I think we're at a point, though, where you could absolutely shock them another way with unity. And I've been showing people the strategy, the blueprint of what President Trump has in place. All right. Now, I don't know if they'll do this, but I've said this before on many big podcasts with other special operations commanders and generals and different people. And, some key people, too, with the Department of War. And they're like, yeah, that's a great strategy. I may be wrong, but if I was a gambling man, that would be one thing I'd gamble on. I'd say, you know what if you take the emergency alert system, all right, which is our phones here, right, and you have everything in a row, which is what a pre-planned strategy is. They already have that plan. You think of bars. Now, I like to use churches, but churches are where people are supposed to be going, let's say, for, the fellowship and other things. Well, let's use a bar, though, because a bar is even more prettier in another manner because you got people of all walks of life in a bar on a Friday night, Saturday night. And all of a sudden, just like that, everybody's phones, all the TVs flip over. And what if it was President Trump and someone like Obama? Now, I've been throwing this out there. I tell people, look, in a special operation, you got to know one is a special operation. Then you got to know the key strategies and tactics of a special operation. Trash talking is one of them. People who look bad but might be good. Some people who are good that look bad, right? There's a lot of variables in that. So what would unify the world? What would make Republicans go, what am I looking at? What would make Democrats and liberals go, oh my gosh, that would absolutely make their mouths just go that quick? Why does President Trump say all roads lead to Obama all the time? Yeah. Obama didn't kill JFK. All right. Obama didn't create inflation, right? Obama wasn't the key sole person from 63. It's a good marker, 63 to 2008, right? Obama wasn't that. So Obama wasn't 9/11. Obama wasn't the Iraq War first. Obama wasn't Saddam Hussein, right? So why does President Trump say all roads lead to Obama, right? There's another key factor there somewhere, somehow, some way. But when you go tie in all his laws and orders and the military portion that most people don't even know about, it starts looking pretty for the EAS. Because if you went up on the street right now to every Democrat and you said Obama or Clinton, Hillary or Bill, they would drop them quick because they think Obama's a great father. They think he's a great husband. They think he's a great speaker. They think he's a great leader. They think he's a great everything. So you want to talk about a shock and awe in another tactic and strategy that will make people do this. And the only way out of it, turn your phone over, walk out of the bar. You can't see the TV anymore. But guess what's going to happen? Every bar on the street, every residence on the street, every TV, every phone, everything will be flipped over right to that. So they can't get out of it. So what do you do then? Someone's going to be listening. Some may not want to hear it, but a lot's going to be listening. What am I watching? What am I seeing? So look at the Charlie Kirk event out in Arizona, right? This memorial that don't have a casket. It don't have a grave. All right. You and I may not care, but I do care. But, why would you use the Air Force for a guy who wasn't in service? All right, that's not cool at all. That goes into traditions and customs. And why did I serve? And why did you serve? And why did your friends and my family put their life on the line if some civilian's going to get the highest honor of the military that no one else has ever received before? Why him? Now, I'm not against Charlie Kirk. What I tell people is look at principle. Look at the principles of it. Billy Graham didn't get that. All right. Martin Luther King Jr. These people got that. Right. So why not that? So when you go look at what they did, what people missed that day was they had every single person from the president, the vice president, the cabinet. Everybody was in one building at one time. Now, if you love President Trump, that would have been dumb and absolutely security-wise stupid to have every single person with the president all the way down in one building at one time. Don't even have anything to do with just the enemy. What if the building collapsed? What if there was an earthquake? What if something happened? What if you lost all at one time? Well, you don't want to go instantly to your designated survivor. See, a lot of people don't even know that's a position out there. You wouldn't want to go instantly to your designated survivor just because you did something negligent and stupid and you had all of your whole administration in one building at one time. What they're showing people is what President Trump says. He's already said this before. People love drama. So we got to give them what they want, right? They don't love laws and orders. They don't love military laws and orders. They don't love strategies and blueprints and saying, hey, this is a 45-47. It's a military operation. They love drama. So you got to give them what they want, right? President Trump, he's a showman. Let's be honest. He said this the other day in a press conference. He said, if you're not going to brag on me, I'll brag on myself. I love that about him, right? Because I'm the same way. I'm like, well, if I did create something that no one else created, well, if you're not going to brag on me, I got to brag on myself too. So why not? So he's a showman from that angle. And so they're doing that for people, but they'll loop people back around, and it'll be kind of like anything else. When I don't know if you ever got in trouble when you were younger, but when your mom or dad said, I do this because I love you. And you're like, I don't know if this is love, right? I'm about to get whipped because you love me. I don't think that's right. But, right. So we all had that. So what's going to happen in the end of all this? If people are like, well, why would you play game theory on us? And why would you do this? You're going to see in the end that, hey, there's a lot you absolutely had no idea about that the top had to do this time. It had to be a top-down operation this time in history. Our founders did a bottom-up. But this time, because the corruption was so high up here, follow the money, the central bank systems, all these other things, the trafficking, all this, it all ties in, and it all ties into the puppet masters, not Congress alone. It's their masters up here that people don't see, and they don't think exists because they've never seen it, they've never heard it. You'll see people in the comment boxes, well, why would the White House tell us this? And why would, ladies and gentlemen, you got to go back to your Bible. You got to go back to what the Bible says about the demonic spirits. There's demons and there's spirits, and that the devil's out to steal, kill, destroy. There's another thing with law, sequence. He can't. Why would he want to destroy something that's not worth stealing? Right? So people don't realize that either. So we're walking around. You and I have already done this before with our service. Right? When we raise our right hand, we're giving up ourselves as an individual, and we're going into something that's greater than you and I as an individual. And we go in with brothers and sisters in arms, but then also we're doing it for other humanity, right? And we will save anybody. I know a guy in my hometown, one of them, he took an IED blast, gone for 3 Iraqi children, right? Pushed them out of the way, took that blast, gone forever in history. Right, gone into eternity, in hopes that those children will grow up to appreciate what he did for them to have their freedom. And that's what people have to apply always. That's the heart of a warrior. That's the heart of the military. That's the heart. It's not war. It's not flexing our muscles because we can. It's flexing our muscles because we have to. And we will go in there and do that if we have to, which is what President Trump's proved with Iran, too, while we're here. 38 days, we've decimated the Navy, the Air Force, the nuclear facilities. In 38 days, he's also exposing what they did with Iraq and Afghanistan, defense contractors, lobbyists, which he's already ended all those. But he's exposed. It's a simultaneous operation everywhere you look at it. You can look at the offensive side, then you can look at the defensive. So by the time you get to May 17th, and you're right, we're right on the cusp of his birthday. You're right on the cusp of the July the 4th. He said 3 years ago, Memorial Day 2025 will be a marker.
I want to pause for that for a minute, you guys. We're going to listen to You guys want to listen to her? Get an update from Iran? This is going to be an important press conference.
I have a live coming up soon.
Go. Come on. We'll get an update on Iran. No, I want to see how much longer I can play that.
Him serious because he's keen on words. I've been around him probably 14 times, somewhere in there. He's keen on present tense, past tense, future tense, plural, past, whatever. He's very keen on words. He's a genius, right? So when he says every single day, he's talking about every single day. We're going to celebrate America July the 4th heavily. But every single day after that, we're going to have sports teams and athletes come in from all over the world, competitions and all these things. That's unity.
Yep.
Nick Saban, University of Alabama. When he was at Alabama, he went out and marched with BLM and all the state of Alabama, heavy conservative, obviously. Boy, the Bama fans, they were like, you need to stick to coaching and blah, 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 blah. He bamboozled them, right? They did all this for a reason. They got everybody engaged. It could be yelling, kicking, cussing, but we got your engagement. We got you focused. You're looking at me. They're looking at you. They're looking at us, right? All the way up to President Trump. We get you engaged. You could be yelling, cussing. Well, we're used to this because this is an operation, right? Well, we got you engaged. No matter how we got you, right? And we have the receipts. So I show people, and when more people read and study, holy crap, it's here. It's here. He's validated every day. How's Derek ahead of the president? And I'm not ahead of him because I'm ahead of him.
Yeah, I was going to play the press secretary. I want to get an update on the latest with Iran. She should be coming to the podium here. Yep, she's coming out right now, I think. We're almost almost there. We'll do 3 hours. So we got an hour. Another incident short trip full of calm. I think I might stop Derek. A half hour. That's a good one coming up I guess we'll wait. We'll play it later. I want to get on with the intel. Seven minutes.
Is why Trump had to refund the tariffs. And the other question is a lot of people are having problems understanding what's going on in Iran. So can we start with those?
Yeah, so the deal is, well, you got the deep state fighting back as far as with tariffs because they don't want for us to be prosperous and for the system to change. So they're fighting back. That's all that is. And then Trump actually made a comment about it. I think it was either yesterday or the day before, talking about the companies that are not, because you have to actually go claim it. Okay. So you have to go onto this website, you have to actually put in your claim, and you have to request that money's back. And to do that, he made a statement about certain companies are not actually doing it, meaning they're not requesting for their monies to be given back to them and for that to be going into the country. And he said, and we will remember those companies that do that. Now, there's another level to that as well, is that when they made statements about when tariffs are actually implemented, who actually pays the tariff? That's a question to you. Who actually pays the tariff? Anyone? Anyone?
The companies. The import.
No. The people do, because what that does is the company pays the tariff, then they meander that price right on over into the product, and the people that get the product actually pays for the increase due to the tariff. That was their big complaint, saying that when you make these tariffs, all it's going to do is raise the prices on goods and services, that the importers are not actually going to be the ones that lose. It's going to be the people, because the people are going to be the ones that pay for it. So if you paid extra to pay for tariffed goods because you wanted a tariffed good, who actually now should be getting the refund?
The people.
Abso-freaking-lutely. It's all being set up to show exactly what it's all about and who's going to be exposed through it all.
So, Captain, I saw a couple people today, and I'm not sure if, they pay attention. They saw what happened with the Supreme Court and how they were ordered, President Trump was ordered to do this. And I realize it's all part of the exposure, right? We're exposing the corrupt members and the court systems, as well as, testing what these companies are going to do, right? But this was their words. Why is Trump refunding companies and not us?
That's
because
exactly right.
They don't understand. They're frustrated with him because he's not handing them money, and they think he's handing money to them freely, like not understanding the whole, what happened with the Supreme Court, the order and everything like that.
Yeah, well, the deal is only part of the tariffs actually were to be refunded. The other parts of them, and there were other things that were in the tariff information that the Supreme Court actually said specifically, which that's exactly what they did, is they just transferred over to initiating the actual tariffs that were already litigated and actually 100% available for them to actually use. This was actually a intent to expose these companies and expose these methods so that the people could now begin to see exactly who these companies are and what they stand for. That's why when Trump said, we're going to make this website available, you've got to go and claim it. And there are companies that are actually not claiming that money, and that money's going to stay in the Treasury, and that we will not forget who these companies are, because those are going to be the companies that Trump and them get behind. The other companies are going to be exposed for that very thing, because they raised their prices. They collected the money from the goods and services from the people by raising their prices, and then they asked for the refund to be paid back to them. They're going to not like the outcome of that. They have all been set up.
Yeah, and it isn't pretty watching all this, but we did want everybody to be exposed for who they are, so that the changes that we all want to see can get implemented. But the ugly part is the exposure, and as much as it's confusing, and you may not know why things are happening the way they are, it has to happen. It's the Band-Aid now is getting peeled off very slowly to let in the light, but it has to be done at a slow measure so people do understand. Just by those two people's statements, I can tell they didn't even know about the Supreme Court order. They thought he was just handing out refunds to companies for no reason.
Okay, that was a short one. That one didn't make sense, did it? All right, I got the next one. Another one. I'm not sure. Flying Eagle. So we.
The whole way that Obama has operated with these enormous bills
We
that
ever
no
play
one
this
has
one?
ever
You
had
guys okay
time to
with this one?
read, that they rush through, where they're putting people in power who don't.
Ah, shoot. What happened?
Don't have to go through the confirmation process, so that we don't
Looks
find
like
out
a
what
good one. If I can get it.
like, except by if there's an expose on.
I don't think they're going to let me play it. All right, I got some other good ones. See where that one is. Okay, another one for this guy. 5 minutes.
I've made, and it's so important because once you understand this, you understand the slavery that we have been in, many of our grandparents have been in, and how they've kept us completely manipulated and used us for our labor for many, many years. So that being said, guys, in 1871, the U.S. Treasury went bankrupt. Okay, we went bankrupt and we got taken over by a cabal,
This is a good one.
A big cabal of global financial people like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. And what happened was they created what's called the Federal Reserve. There's nothing federal about it. There's nothing reserve about it. It's literally like you and some homies going and making a bank, making it all nice and glamorous for the U.S. corporation, which is not what we are founded on. We are a republic. And they made this bank, and then they did this. So the Federal Reserve is a private bank, pretty much like you owning your own bank, in which it prints money and loans out that money with interest from the banks that you go to locally, wherever. And the IRS, those agents that work for the IRS and all of them are the people that collect it. They protect the Federal Reserve to get your hard-earned money, which is obviously being laundered and used in other places, right? Okay, so hold on. And if you don't know who the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers, for example, who they are, I would highly go look them up and research them. Like I said, those are the people that really took over the United States corporation and created this slavery that we live in with the bankruptcy and our money, okay? So this right here, this is saying that the United States that we live in is a corporation, okay? You are an employee. I am an employee, a slave to this corporation. Washington, D.C. is not a part of the United States, period. And that's why recently now, if you go look on the map, there's no longer D.C. on the maps. We got Washington. That's it. Kind of like the new Gulf of America, right? Things are changing. But again, we are not a part of the corporation. We are not born. We are not created. This country was founded as a republic, not a democracy, not a corporation. Whole different set of laws. You are operating, you are being held captive under maritime law. the land or the law of the sea. We are founded on common law. Big difference. And I bring that up because that's what we're going back to. We're demolishing this system and going back to what our founding fathers fought for our freedom. Okay? Check this out. Henry Ford said that it is well that the people of this nation do not understand the banking system. And if they did, there would be a massive revolution. That's just one. But someone else said something pretty important too. JFK said it best. There's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. And I plan to expose that plot.
Yeah,
7 days later,
right?
He was assassinated. Hold up. As we discussed many times on the lives and everything and everywhere else, you're born with a straw man. A straw man is a fictitious image that they create with your birth certificate and your social security number. They use that as commerce behind closed doors. You are being used as commerce on the maritime law. You are a vessel on the sea, okay? Your straw man is all capital letters. You ever get a bank statement, you ever see your social security number, your social security card, you ever see your birth certificate, it's always in capital letters. That is not you. You are not in caps. That is the United States corporation using you. The only reason that stuff is working is because when you sign with signatures, you're giving it authorization for them to use through the Treasury and the Federal Reserve fake, horrible, corrupt bank. And what's happening now, did you really think that Trump was talking about, man, like, I'm so excited. My favorite executive order is to ban plastic straws. Or excuse me, paper straws. Do you think that's what he's really excited about? Or do you think that he's excited to ban the paper straw man that's enslaved us, enslaved all of us for hundreds of years, over 100 years? I think that's what he's doing. I think you're witnessing the downfall of the criminal syndicate, which is the Federal Reserve, all the way down to the IRS, all the way down to the banks. They're all a part of it. It's all fraud. It's all illegal. There is no such thing as money. We went bankrupt in 1933. Thankfully, guess who brought our gold back? Donald Trump in 2017 with over 650 cargo flights brought our gold back from the Vatican. You guys ready for that discussion yet? The Vatican is not good. The Vatican, man, we ain't going there yet. I love y'all.
Hey, another good one from him. Okay, 2 minutes with her.
Her mom, how her day at school went and what they learned, and talking about the war in Israel and this and that in Iran. And there is so much indoctrination that's still going on. If you can homeschool your kids, homeschool them. Seriously. If you can't, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but the indoctrination runs so deep, and it's no different than when I was in school in the 80s. Nothing but lies. Nothing but lies. So if you're awake and you know what's going on, and you know that, for example, you know, this is the real Egypt, this is the real Israel, this is Babylon, if you know all this stuff, teach your kids when they come home. Ask them what they're learning in school. Be involved with what are the teachers teaching them. And if you know it's a lie, let your kids know this is all wrong. This is where Israel, this is where you got to let your kids know and stop this indoctrination from happening, at least from the home. At school, they're going to get, and you know what? The teachers, I can't even blame the teachers, because the teachers were indoctrinated growing up also. So this has just gone back so many years, and you got to teach your kids at home. Even if they got to go to public schools, when they get home, ask them how their day went. Ask them what they've learned. If you know it's lies, tell them the truth. Explain to them indoctrination is going to continue to go on until the whole school system is shut down one day. And that's what needs to happen, honestly. Too much lies. It really is. So anyways, I don't know. Luckily, my kids are grown, and I have 7 grandkids. So the only ones that I can spew truth to are my little grandchildren. If you have grandkids, do the same. If you're my age or older, you've got grandkids at this point, probably. we've got to teach them the truth. These guys got to know, because it's nothing but lies going on. It's insane. Anyways, have a great day. I was just watching a video of a girl that goes home and she's telling.
Short one for tonight. I got this one's 3 minutes.
Antifa cell that they were accused of carrying out this ambush shooting attack on an ICE detention facility in Alvarado, Texas. This was back on July 4th of last year. Well, they've now been convicted, and it is the first such conviction of Antifa as sort of a terror cell, so to speak. This is from our friend Andy No. You really should follow his no comment Substack. He covers these issues better than anyone else. All members of Texas Antifa cell convicted in first federal terrorism trial. The 9 defendants are accused in the July 4th ambush on a Texas ICE facility, and they were charged with providing support to terrorists and attempted murder of federal officers. So here's where it all shook out. So it was 2 full days of deliberation. The trial lasted 12 days. Jurors convicted the defendants of providing material support to terrorists, rioting, conspiracy to use and carry explosives, and using and carrying explosives. So those are some significant federal charges. Benjamin Song, who prosecutors described as the ringleader, wasn't charged with the explosives-related charges, but was convicted of the more serious attempted murder of a peace officer, as well as multiple counts related to discharging a firearm during a crime of violence. Daniel Rolando Sanchez Estrada, a Mexican national, was found guilty of conspiracy to conceal documents and corruptly concealing documents or records after the attack. His partner, Marciela Ruedo, was also found guilty of conspiracy to conceal documents after telling him to hide her far-left extremist texts. So these are about as serious as it gets when it comes to federal convictions. One little part in this, besides their conviction, that gave me joy is this paragraph from Andy. As the verdict was being read out, some of the Antifa supporters started wailing and crying, resulting in 2 of them being ejected from the courtroom. Defendants Zachary Evitz and Bradford Morris broke down in tears. Ringleader Benjamin Song continued smirking. But I mean, the fact that some of them were in there crying, that is the FO part of FA. And I think that this will have such a profound impact on these far left radical groups who, some of these people might serve life in a federal prison. And I've said before, the makeup of these Antifa extremists, you've got the couple people who are die hard. They will literally die for their cause. And then you have a bunch of loners, really, who are just looking to belong somewhere. And I think that explanation of what happened in the courtroom shows you who's who. The ringleader, he just sat there smirking. Those are the diehard. Those are the people who are willing to go to federal prison, willing to die for their cause. And then you have the 2 people bursting into tears, crying like, oh my gosh, those are the hangers-on. Those are the people who got caught up in something dangerous in their attempt to belong and are now going to spend some hard time in federal prison as a result. But there are still people out there who believe, and one of the reasons I say that this will probably have a profound impact on this radical left-wing extremism is for so long they've been able to get away with it. Think of how many acts of international news. So you'll recall there.
Okay, she does a good job on her clips. Whatever happened to this? Did we get the truth on this?
All right, picture this. It's March 8th, 2014. Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 vanishes. One of the most advanced planes in the world, just gone, along with 239 souls on board. For over a decade, search teams scoured 140,000 square kilometers of the Indian Ocean. The price tag? Over $200 million. Yet, after all that, nothing. No plane. No answers. In March 2026, the last official search ended, and even the search company admitted the plane might not be where everyone thought. So, what actually happened to MH370? Let's untangle this. The whole search was based on automatic satellite signals. Basically, after all communication was lost, the only ping left came from the plane talking to a satellite. Scientists studied the tiniest shifts in these signals, the Doppler effect, and concluded the plane must have headed south, deep into the Indian Ocean. And that's why almost every search effort focused there. But then, a wild twist. Journalist and pilot Jeff Weiss steps into the scene with a counter theory. He believes that data, the very backbone of the search, was faked, that someone on the plane created a digital ghost trail, tricking everyone into thinking MH370 went south, while it actually flew north. According to Weiss, Russian operatives on board accessed the electronics bay, tampered with the systems, and flew the jet to a remote airstrip in Kazakhstan. The motive? To pull the world's attention away from Russia's annexation of Crimea just days before. It sounds like a movie, right? Now here's the kicker, the debris problem. Over 36 pieces of suspected wreckage have been found across 7 countries. 3 are confirmed from MH370, but Wise argues the wreckage was planted months after the disappearance to back up the crash narrative. His evidence? Barnacles. Yeah, barnacles. The first big piece found, a flaperon, washed up 16 months later, covered in gooseneck barnacles. But marine biologists say those barnacles were way too small for that long a drift. More like 2 weeks to 6 months old. Plus, the barnacles covered the whole flaperon, even though it should float half out of the water. It just doesn't add up. Wise even hit the beach to study barnacles on ocean buoys. And again, the barnacle growth on MH370 debris just didn't match a year plus in the water. Of course, most experts call Wise's theory impossible. They say you can't fake satellite data from the plane, and planting wreckage across half the Indian Ocean is just out there. Officially, the southern route is still the story. But with missing data, unanswered questions, and evidence that doesn't quite fit, well, it's no wonder people are still obsessed with MH370. Will we ever know the truth? Maybe. But for now, MH370 remains one of aviation's greatest mystery and a haunting reminder that sometimes reality is stranger than fiction.
That was a sad story. Hey, we got about 35 minutes still.
Congresswoman's not so stellar record of honesty and competence. Last year, Ilhan Omar's financial disclosure revealed skyrocketing wealth. It showed a whopping net worth of up to $30 million, a 3,500% increase in wealth compared to just 2 years prior. Now she's trying to convince the world that she's actually only worth $95,000. Still quite a jump from 2 years ago, but in an eye-popping revision of her disclosure, Ms. Omar is saying the multi-million-dollar discrepancy was nothing more than an accounting error. In what world is a multi-billion-dollar correction to a person's financial disclosure considered normal? Perhaps this member's accountant, perhaps Ilhan's accountant, is a graduate from the Quality Leering Center. Either way, this about face shows incompetence at best and a cover-up at worst. But this is just the latest in a long list of head-turning stories relating to this member of Minnesota. Ilhan cannot escape accountability much longer. Investigations are ongoing in House committees. The Trump administration has waged war on fraud. Her ties to convicted Feeding Our Future fraudsters are well documented. And her defense of these criminals who stole billions from hardworking taxpayers makes it very clear where her allegiance stands. Make no mistake, if Ilhan Omar is discovered to have been involved in any or to have benefited in any way from any fraud, she must be held accountable to the fullest extent. And by the way, That includes marriage fraud. I
Yep.
yield to our leader. Another day and another headline about a...
How much longer?
Look at what they avoid, what they deflect when they're exposed. And we are seeing it play out right now. It is a playbook as old as time. So you've got Joe Kent resigning last week as the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, coming out and saying, hey, we were looking into potential foreign involvement in Charlie Kirk's assassination. Kash Patel apparently shut that down. You'd think that as the FBI director, Charlie Kirk being your friend, you would have wanted to look into that. So Joe Kent says that, and then within a week, there is a campaign, a blatant campaign against him to try to discredit him. And if you aren't able to see it, then there's just no hope for you. So you've got not only TPUSA and Blake, whatever his bald ass name is, losing his mind on the internet. So that's behavior red flag 1. There is no need for you as TPUSA to lose your mind. In fact, you'd think that you would be like, we want to look into it. Like that would be the correct reaction of anybody who is not hiding something or doesn't feel exposed. I'm just saying based on my assessment. Then you have Kash Patel's girlfriend, who's a country singer turned OSINT analyst, apparently, according to her 13 thread X thing that she did yesterday. Sorry, I just started posting on X yesterday, so I'm new to the terminology, but she posted 13 thread thing accusing Candace Owens, Joe Kent, General Flynn, and Tucker Carlson of being Russian assets. As a follow the money person, I was like, oh, well, let's go look at the FAR and open secrets and let's just figure out what has been spent. Because if you are running true influence campaigns, you're supposed to report it. Let me start there. Well, fun fact, in 2025, Russia spent $0 on influence campaigns. In 2018, that was their highest year. They spent like a little under 20 million, but since then, it has been nothing and zero in 2025. Meanwhile, Israel, well, they spent $28 million in 2025 alone on influence campaigns. They paid hidden influencers $7K a post. I think that if you're an influencer being paid by another country to talk good about them, then you should have to put an ad or whatever it is sponsored in your post like you do anything else. That is actually the worst kind of influence, in my opinion. So what does that mean? A 13 thread, is that $91,000? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That doesn't include the Google ads or anything like that. That's just what's reported on influence campaigns in the United States. Another fun fact, Clock Tower X that I've done a video about, you can go back and look at it if you are on my TikTok or Substack. Clock Tower X stood up a few weeks after Charlie Kirk sent Netanyahu a letter saying, look, dude, you're losing the American people. Like, they hate you. Here's what you need to do to get back on track. One of them was an influence campaign with Gen Z. Conveniently, a few weeks later, Clock Tower X stands up and is supporting the Israeli government, registered in FARA. You can go look it up yourself. The head of Clock Tower X, well, it's Trump's old campaign manager, and they spent $6 million just to influence Gen Z. It's right in our faces, and yet these far-right people like Laura Loomer, or whatever her name. You want?
Okay, one more with her. The last one was going to be the YouTube lady, the funny one. It'll be 20 minutes. I got a few more short.
Happy Friday, everybody. A few days ago, we had peace talks in Geneva with Iran. Said they went well, but that's BS. We can't have peace talks go well while we're simultaneously building one of the largest military presence in the Middle East since we went into Iraq. Today or tomorrow, the USS Gerald Ford arrives in the Middle East, and that's our largest aircraft carrier. We also sent more than 50 fighter jets over yesterday. Once you see the B-2s flying, that's when you know shit's about to go down. My concern is that our strategy has been terrible leading up to this point, And I'm concerned that what we're doing is just waiting and the tensions are rising. And one thing's going to happen, kind of like World War I, someone's going to get shot or something's going to happen that is then going to catapult this into a world war, because apparently Russia's doomsday plane arrived in Iran yesterday. Now, I have not verified those sources, might not be true, okay? But in addition, China, Russia, and Iran held military practices yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz, and that was a surprise. So that's not good. It's one thing if we're going to bomb their nuclear facility or had a plan to do a regime change, but now China and Russia are involved, and that's where it gets really ugly, because that's World War III. And what we don't want, I've done these war games, is World War III with China, because that's an equal economic power to us. We also haven't won a war in decades. The Middle East is not where we do our best work. And I understand the people of Iran saying we need help, got it, and we did promise help. I've done TikToks on that. However, we need to heal our country. We're not ready to go to war. And I feel like we're being dragged into it by our toxic ass friends, the blue and white country and the other Middle East countries that are going to benefit from taking Iran out. And we are going to be the ones to suffer at that. Also, we do not have the best picker. So just because we put someone else in doesn't mean they're going to be the best. Typically, it means that they're going to serve our interests and we can control them. And that doesn't end up working out well for the people. What I've seen from December until now and how we have handled Iran and deployed just our strategy makes me very concerned. You guys tell me what you think. I just don't want this to be another Iraq, and I kind of feel like it is. But maybe everything will work out, and it's just a bunch of boys playing with their toys and their egos. We can only hope. Aliens. All right, so last week, Obama went on a podcast and was asked about if aliens were real. And he's like, they're definitely real. They're not at Area 51, haven't seen them, but they're real. Yesterday, Prince Andrew gets arrested for the E-files on his birthday. Rotten hell. Same day, Trump comes out and says Obama released classified information by saying aliens were real. So, Pete Hegseth, we're going to declassify our stuff on aliens and give it to the people. Two things with this. One, you just confirmed that aliens were real because Obama didn't say that he had that classified information. He didn't word it like that. That makes me laugh. It's why when things come out that are classified, you're not allowed to even talk about it because you can confirm or deny it. It's just not a good place to be. So Trump confirmed it, which is really funny to me. I mean, I always thought they were real, but.
Okay, one of our three-letter word lady. Auntie.
For me to do. The devil clearly knows I'm onto something because it's making it very hard for me to share. First things first, guys, though, this is purely for entertainment purposes only, guys. You know, we're just goofing around, new boo goofing, having fun. Guys, what if that person who exposed that place, you know, that one, the boxer yesterday, actually helped biblical prophecy unfold? Or at least helped us discern what this biblical prophecy is all about? One of the biggest quoted of the biblical prophecies in the Bible, the abomination of desolation. We all know what abomination means, but desolation. Let me get to this. A few months ago, I decided to go down a deep dive about spells and words and how you have to be very careful with what you say because your words have powers, hence spelling. We spell words. Did you know Balenciaga means ball is king? And Nickelodeon means I don't care about God? Anyways, as I was going through this, I was in a word translator and trying different words and seeing what they would come up with. And I love how God works. I love how God works. The Holy Spirit never lets you down. I put in Gucci to see, and it came out, there is an owl. Okay, now I'm intrigued. There is an owl. Now, owls have a very mystical meaning. I'm not a fan of owls. They're never been my favorites. Even though Andrea got me my hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil owls here as a joke, because owls just never been my thing. Anyways, guys, that night, I ended up in a deep dive that took me to a place.
Short clip with Auntie there.
festivals will be held in Israel. It's called Pride Land, and it will be June the 1st through the 4th. It's located at the Dead Sea, of all places. Now, I find it ironic that it will be held at the ancient destroyed ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, we know that the people over there are blinded right now, and that is why they will not be spared from the judgment that is coming. And anyone who reads their Bibles know that pride is the reason why Lucifer fell. Romans chapter 1 verse 26 says, "For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was met." Now we know that the word says that no one is good, not one. But as believers in Christ, we are not to partake in what this world does. And when we grow our relationship with Christ, we try our best to walk away from sin. And when we do so, it is evidence of our spiritual growth in Christ. We know as believers, when we sin, we get convicted. And that is what makes us want to change and turn away from sin. Because the Holy Spirit is changing us and we are being sanctified. Kind of just wanted to add that for anybody who wants to attack me, because a lot of people don't want to listen to the Holy Spirit and they try to ignore their own convictions. But back to this is not okay, but it shows us what time we're in right now, because y'all, the irony that they're going to do this near the site of Sodom and Gomorrah, which was literally destroyed because of this sin. Listen up. One of the largest alphabet festivals will be.
Okay, that was a short one from her. Got a couple more, and then we'll get to the last video. What happened now? Darn it. Bonnie Willis.
$54,000 in attorney fees for violating the state's Open Records Act. The judge in this case ruled that Miss Willis had been very openly hostile towards defense attorney Ashley Merchant. According to court documents, Willis has exactly 1 month to pay the $54,000 to Miss Merchant. This story broke last week, so the month is less than 3 weeks now for her to come up with this money and pay it. I wonder if all that Miss Willis is going through, if she has ever one time regretted targeting Donald Trump and helping the Biden administration try to get rid of a political opponent. I think Miss Willis probably wishes she had given that a little bit more thought before just jumping on the bandwagon. But you all let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Respectfully, please.
So this will be the last one, about 20, so that will give us a 3-hour mark. And then I'll be back at 7.
You love that I love that you love the bundle and save.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
At Michigan Auto Law, it's not about the awards.
But we did win Best Lawyers in America, like several times.
She was driving fast, man. She was lying.
Yes.
Today's body cam video takes place on Thanksgiving. For some reason, this was the day that a woman woke up and decided that she was going to drive her car through a marathon and then act shocked when police get involved. Well, we're about ready to watch as a woman who turned a really bad decision into a full-blown public meltdown, complete with excuses, entitlement, and spiraling that just keeps getting worse.
This woman is Ashley, and she was driving recklessly on the runner's path at Thanksgiving Day and almost caused a big mess. But things didn't stop there. They only get crazier. SSPD said it happened just before 8 a.m. Officers were parked and saw Ashley going 60 miles an hour in the runner's path.
Stop her. Shut the car off, ma'am.
Freaking Thanksgiving. I just got a divorce. My fucking daughter's not with me.
Can you step out the car, please?
This, I'm trying to get home.
Step out the car, please, ma'am.
Yes, sir. What? No, no. What are you doing? Are you kidding me?
Can somebody come to the car for you?
Right now, I am enraged that this entitled.
Well, right off the bat, you guys, wasn't that legal? They can't just handcuff her right away, can she? Can they? They didn't even read her rights.
Bitch is wearing a Def Leppard t-shirt. She is now tainting the name of one of the greatest 80s hair bands. And I am even more disgusted by her when I haven't even heard the full story of what she was doing driving her car through a freaking marathon.
No, I don't have anybody. You guys, please don't. I just got a divorce. I'm trying to move. Please don't do this. What are you doing?
You gonna have enough time?
So yeah.
Back up?
Yeah.
Make it or no?
Yep, she's going this way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. Do me a favor, I'm gonna pull her car over here. I'm gonna pull her car in there. I gotta do paperwork. I may need the computer though.
Yeah, that's fine. Let me just block this off again.
Thank you.
All right, I'll got it down.
I'll take care of the paperwork. Just thanks, okay.
You're arresting me for stupid run.
Jennifer.
Please let me out. Please let me out.
Hey, D70, can you give me a call to Stone Isle Bridge? Make it a fling and looting in 15 feet.
I have a neighborhood. I live in a $3 million house right down the street.
Fling and looting.
Let me get your pepper spray. If you do that, I'm going to pepper spray you. You got me? I'm going to pepper spray you.
Dude, I live in a $3 million house down the street.
Just hear
Can
me
you
out.
write me up?
Hear me this.
My daughter, I'm going to lose my daughter today.
Listen to me carefully.
Look at this.
If you kick the window,
That's
I'm
my
going to
head.
pepper
I didn't
spray
kick
you.
the window.
Whatever you do, you bang your head in the window. If you don't sit here properly, I'm going to
How
pepper
long
spray
are we doing this
you. You've
for?
been warned.
How long has this been for?
Until I'm done doing what I need to do, ma'am. All right? I'll come talk to you in a second.
Look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to endanger anybody, but the police officer on the other,
Apology accepted.
but the guy on the other side told me to beat the runners over.
Listen to me.
Like,
Hear me.
this is hurting.
I need to bring it down. Listen.
This is killing
I'll
me.
adjust that for you. Hear me out. All right? Right now, you're at level 10. I need you to bring it down to a 2.
Here's a level 2. Ready? I was trying to go to the gas station this morning, and I can't get off my neighborhood.
I promise you I'll come talk to you, all right? But what I need you to do is don't bang your head in the window. Don't kick anything. I need you to sit here. You're in handcuffs. You're arrested. All right? I can't change that. It is
For
what?
what?
It is. Fleeing and eluding. It is what it is. If you continue to do that, I'm telling you, you're going to...
You don't get what I just went through. Like at all. I just want to fucking go home. You don't get it. I went through a 3-year divorce. The fuck guys took all my money. I'm fighting for my kid back. I mean, I don't know how to deserve this.
This other police officer is just like, honey, lots of people get divorces. Many people go through massive life-altering changes. That doesn't give you the right to throw a temper tantrum in the backseat of a police car like you're a 3-year-old. Stop using a divorce and fighting with your ex-husband over custody as a reason for you to just, not be detained? He has clearly told you if you don't bring it from a 10 down to a 2, your ass is going to get pepper sprayed. And I'm just going to throw this out there right now. I'm going to use my powers and I'm going to make the determination that we are going to see this entitled bitch get pepper sprayed. And I am here for it.
So I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
Like, I'm going to lose my daughter today, too.
All right. Stop screaming. This isn't gonna get you out of it. This isn't gonna get you out of
Help me, though. This is hurting. Look at my arms.
Hey, ma'am.
Look, you're killing me. You're killing me.
This is like before 8 o'clock in the morning. What? She's being so dramatic. Is she on something? Is she on something? Is she taking a few additional prescription meds? Did she have a mimosa and start brunch really freaking early? What is her deal?
This is so tight. I'm a resident of this
I'm
neighborhood.
trying to adjust it for you.
I'm a resident of this neighborhood. Can I stand up?
No, turn around. If you want me to adjust it for you, you gotta turn around.
Ow! Oh my God! We're so tight.
I'm trying to adjust.
Please let me out.
Larry, last video till tonight.
Is she related to Shakira Flabbergasted?
Out of the street.
I didn't do anything wrong.
They could be sisters.
Give me all the way to jail. Can we just get this over with? Because I'm gonna lose my daughter today. I haven't seen her in 3 weeks, and I'm supposed to see her this morning.
Stop. Hey, ma'am. Are you the registrant on the vehicle?
I think so.
What's your first name?
Ashley Morgan. Morgan Auto Groups, who I just divorced. Ashley! With 2 E's. Can I get out of here?
Stop screaming.
Can I stand up? I'm having an anxiety attack.
Making a scene.
I am making a scene. This is my fucking neighborhood. I'm a Snow Isle resident. I live in a $3 million house with these assholes. No, you did
Get
not.
back in the car now. Back in the car. Get back in the car.
Let me out.
Simpler stores.
Oh, fine. Go
Get in and out
one.
quick. It's an Aldi thing.
Oh, God.
You know, these police officers were not thinking that they were going to have to deal with her crazy ass this early in the morning on Thanksgiving. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Listen to her throw those numbers around. I live in a $3 million house. I just divorced from the owner of Morgan Auto Group. Oh, God. I hate entitlement. I hate entitlement so much. Bitch, I don't care if you could write me a $10 million check today. You are not going to be treated any differently from anybody else. And the fact that she is sitting in the back seat, screaming at the top of her lungs, throwing a tantrum like a child, just goes to show that she thinks that she is above the law. And it's disgusting behavior.
Please let me out. I need to talk to my attorney. Please, he's in my phone. You can call him for me. Please.
I need you to calm down.
I need to call my attorney, though. Please, I need help. Please, I have the right to have my attorney.
Yes, you do have the right to your attorney, but is she understanding that she made this situation a whole lot worse? I mean, I'm pretty sure that she was just simply driving on a street that she was not supposed to be driving on because there are people running a marathon. That is why she got pulled over, and she probably is detained now only because she's being difficult. She probably would have just got a ticket. Like, lady, you're not allowed to drive on this road. It's blocked off because of a marathon. I mean, am I misunderstanding? That's what I'm pretty sure she's in trouble for, and she's just being exceedingly difficult. All she had to do was just not drive on this freaking road. That's all she had to do.
Right? I have the right to speak with my attorney.
So hear me
to
out.
represent me.
Are you going to allow me to explain to you? Okay. Your charges are this. As of now, there may be more. Fleeing and looting, hit and run because you hit a stop sign, reckless driving, and obstruction. All right. Those are your charges. All right. I would love to talk to you about it. All right. If you would like your attorney present, then I cannot talk to you about it. Would you like that, your attorney?
Am I going to jail?
Yes, you are.
Yes, I need my attorney.
Okay. So I won't ask you any questions. All right. When you go to jail, you can phone your lawyer there. All right, ma'am?
Are we going now?
No.
Why are you doing this to me?
Bitch, he literally just told you. Reckless driving, eluding and fleeing, obstruction. Like, he just gave you the whole list. That's why you're going to jail. She must be on something, or she's just clearly not paying attention.
The reckless, I got a 21 in coffee pot where the bridge is at. And then fleeing and eluding, where was right by the bridge? What's that? Coffee pot and Snell on Boulevard.
Right there at the bridge.
Hey, just for purposes, she fled from reckless. She observed driving reckless. Glasgow. We all observed her driving reckless coming down. We stopped her, asked for license, registration. She hit the gas. She fled. And then what happened with you?
So you guys are calling out on the radio. I turn around to look at the Snell Bridge, and here comes the white Range Rover, which I'm seeing over there.
How was she driving?
She was driving fast, man. She was flying.
And there were people already on the course and stuff like that too. So
yeah, the race had already started. So as she's coming across the bridge, I'm not in the center of the road, but I'm not where she should be able to see me. I'm giving her commands, saying stop the car, yelling, so my throat hurts at this point. She comes past me, and she already had the window down. She looks right at me, and she just gives me this left hand in the air going, what? And looks at me and keeps on going.
And you had your marked car there and everything that's like to
Yep.
Okay.
Bond's marked car was there. My marked car was there. Lights were flashing.
Cones are in the road and everything else.
Cones are looking at. I'm wearing this, and she's looking right at me. Just keeps on going.
Gotcha. Hey, hang on 1 second. Wait a minute. Wait. And look.
You know I'm a Snell Isle resident?
Yes, you're embarrassing yourself. Stop.
No, I'm not embarrassing myself. I'm a fucking mom on Snell Isle, and you guys fucking arrested me, pepper sprayed me 3 times.
Twice.
Do you want to see my too? What are you guys doing? This is so disgusting. I literally live on Eden Isle at 1425.
Hey, ma'am, let me tell you this. This officer checks his car before and after his shift, before and after when it gets inside, all right? You're the first person in this car for this shift. There's nothing in the car. Do you have anything
I
on
have
you?
fingernails in your car. Okay. Yes, because I'm sorry. They're for my.
Oh, you're not gonna get those back.
What, my shoes?
No, your fingernails.
No, I wasn't trying to. I was just letting him know it's weird. I would have vacuumed it out for him.
Okay.
Are you taking my new Nikes off?
Yeah, slip them off.
What?
Slip them off.
Oh my god, you guys are. This is disgusting.
Have a seat, okay? There you go.
Where?
Right here.
No, honey, your behavior is disgusting. Golly. I struggle with how some people are just so completely self-unaware. You think everybody else is behaving disgustingly just because of who you think you are? Oh, honey. No. Your behavior is the disgusting one here.
Put your left foot up. There you go. Now put your.
You guys can pick me up. I don't know what the you want.
Listen.
I can't follow directions when I can't see.
Step up. There you go. Put your butt on the thing. Up a little bit more. You can feel it. I know you can. Ma'am. Stand up. Okay. Go back a little bit. Scooch back. The seat is right there.
Where are we going?
In the car. You're putting your foot in the car, please.
Say it again.
Bundle and save on insurance. Libbity bibbity.
Swoon.
Swoon.
Damn, she looks rough. She looks rough. Damn, that's my thumbnail picture right there. Oh, honey, that's not a good way to spend Thanksgiving at all.
You're good. Just going outside.
Are you gonna pepper spray me again?
If you act up, I will.
Just sit back.
I'm trying not to. I'm trying.
You pepper sprayed me twice.
Yes, because you don't know how to act. Put your foot in the car. Oh. I got you.
Somehow it closed down.
And put your foot in. There you go. Thank you, ma'am. Here, I'm gonna buckle you in.
Why would you do that?
Because you're not behaving yourself. Jesus. Okay, I'm gonna ask you again.
I don't know.
Your car's gonna get towed, right? They're gonna do an inventory.
Can my ex go get the car?
He's not answering the phone.
Can I give you another number?
So we gave you the opportunity before. They called the number. He's not answering. So the sergeant's going to do a inventory search of the vehicle. Is there anything of value in there?
No, there's a bunch of trash. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
I don't think there's value.
Oh, so the only thing that's inside of your car is trash. I could have guessed that because you were in it. Oh, yeah, no, I know that wasn't very funny, but I was just looking for another insult because I can't stand this woman. But I did really like seeing the look of defeat on her face.
She was then arrested for 2 felony counts of fleeing and eluding law enforcement. Reckless driving, leaving the scene of a crash with property damage, and resisting an officer without violence.
Yeah, so apparently she took out a stop sign. Yeah, and then she refused to stop. So that's where the fleeing and evading came from, I guess. Damn. If you like these kind of videos, the fastest way to let me know.
Okay. How much time do you think on that one, Flying Eagle? Will she get a long time? So that's going to wrap it up. I'll be back at 7. We'll go 7 instead of 6. We'll get an extra hour. We'll go 7 to 9. We'll do 2 hours. Without, you think she'll get like a month probably, or just one day? Oh, only a couple of days? Oh, I didn't know that. I thought a minor incident. Luckily, no one got hurt. Luckily, no one got hurt. Well, we got a lot out tonight. I thought that Derek video was going to be good that time, but I guess it wasn't. So sorry about that 30 minutes. 30 minutes on that. But we got a lot of other good stuff. Yep. No, so we'll play the Vinny videos and Trish videos, and I got one Nick video we'll play tonight. So everybody have a good dinner tonight. Thanks, Kay Figo and Tim Carroll, Lucy. And God bless everybody. Love all. Please hit the like. Stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith, never give up. And signing off for show number 1. Chico Dude. We'll see you tonight around 7.